WPEN and WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mike Missanelli Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. It is all settled. All the conjecture and all this speculation on who the Eagles were going to play was decided yesterday. The playoff matches are all set up, and the Eagles will be hosting the Green Bay Packers. And we should inform you that you should feel pretty good about that right now, because the line that started out at 3.5 is now in some places up to 5.5, indicating that the sharp money has come in and really likes the Eagles in this game. This is going to be a tough game. I would rather have seen them play the Commanders. It didn't work out that way. The finish of some of the games on Sunday were amazing. You'll hear that on Around the NFL. But the Eagles and the Packers in a matchup, I thought that would be the tougher matchup, but the Packers have some problems. They lost a wide receiver on Sunday. Their quarterback is a little banged up with the elbow, so they won't be facing him at full strength. I think that reflects the line that maybe the money is scared about Jordan Love. So the Eagles, I think, are in a pretty good position right now to play the Green Bay Packers and to move on, where they would either play the Commanders or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also at home, it's a pretty good situation for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they completed their regular season, an amazing regular season, riding the arm of Tanner McKee over the New York Giants, who here's my theory. They told Brian Dable he was coming back. He decided to tank it. Some of the third and fourth down calls that the Giants made was like giving it up. And they had no interest in winning that game, and they'll take their fourth draft pick. They're going to pick fourth now. And Eagles go away happy with a win with their backup players. So here we are. We are set up for the NFL playoffs, and the gang is all here. We got Bill here. We got Ray here. So I know both of you guys were a little scared of facing the Green Bay Packers. It is a revenge situation, although long time ago and in another country. But you were afraid because of this quarterback. Did the Eagles get the more favorable match here?
The more favorable, man, why I can't say that word. The more favorable matchup, I don't think it's a more favorable matchup than the Commanders, but I'm not scared of the Packers because you're right. I watched that game yesterday against the Chicago Bears. We saw them last week against the Minnesota Vikings. They don't look like they're firing on all cylinders. When you talk about hitting your stride at the right time, I don't think the Packers are. They are banged up. We'll see what happens with Jordan Love. We'll see what happens with Christian Watson, their wide receiver. But I went back. I was really looking at the last few games for the Green Bay Packers. You know, they haven't beaten a playoff team since week 7, and they've only beaten 2 teams all year that are even in the playoffs right now. So maybe we overestimated how good the Packers actually were. Now, they do have a good coach. They have a fairly good defense. And Jordan Love, I think, is a good quarterback, but we don't know how healthy he's going to be. I think the Eagles are going to win this game on Sunday. They're going to advance to the divisional round, and then it's anybody's guess who that's going to be because there's a million different scenarios.
Okay, so here's the big concern that a lot of people have, whether the Eagles starting quarterback is going to be full strength to play. It's a really weird situation, this concussion protocol. They've kind of kept him on the wraps. We really don't know what his health is going to be. I got to think that by the time that game rolls around, that he'll be fine and the Eagles won't slip a beat. But I know a lot of people were encouraged about Tanner McKee that if Hurts can't play. Let me just stop you right here, okay? Let's not get carried away, please. The Eagles cannot win without Jalen Hurts. They're not going to win with Tanner McKee. They're not going to go with Kenny Pickett. It's not even a topic that we should even consider. I know you liked him. He did some good things against a bad Giants team who were playing their backups, but please, let's not get carried away. If Jalen Hurts can't play or if Jalen Hurts isn't at full strength, the Eagles have no chance to get to the NFC title game.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but that's not even going to be an issue, Mike. He's going to clear concussion protocol. He's going to be fine, but you're 100% correct. Jalen Hurts is by far the best quarterback on this Philadelphia Eagles roster. But at the same time, we can acknowledge that Tanner McKee did look pretty good, man.
Stop it.
No, I'm saying he's a decent backup quarterback.
I'm not even going to get into this today.
He's a good backup quarterback.
Oh, stop. How could you evaluate a guy playing against the New York Giants and their backups? Come on now. Stop it. With Tanner McKee. I can't believe that we're going to have to even discuss this today.
Well, we're not going to discuss whether he's better than Hurts. It's not even close. But I think you can also acknowledge going 27 of 41 for 270 yards, 2 touchdowns in your first NFL start, and he hit 8 different receivers. It's a pretty impressive game from Tanner McKee.
I can't even. I can't even waste time talking about this. The Eagles play the Packers, and then they move on. And as we go into our first break, because our breaks are changed today, the Detroit Lions made a statement in that game. They are even depleted, even all banged up, and they'll get a bye to heal a little bit. I don't think the Eagles can beat the Detroit Lions in that NFC title game.
Really?
Yes, I don't. I'm sorry.
Oh, my
God.
God.
This doesn't put a damper on the playoffs at all, because obviously everybody has a different opinion.
See, now, if you're not going to give Tanner McKee credit for what he did against the Giants, you're going to say that the Lions are going to beat the Eagles because of what you saw them do to Sam Darnold last night?
Sam Darnold, who was having a really good year until last night.
Darnold looked terrible last night.
He did, but maybe Detroit made him look terrible. 610-632-0975 is how you get in. Text board, calls. Are you happy with the draw that the Eagles got? How far can they go? What are your concerns? It is the Mike Missanelli Show. We'll hear from you after this.
Not only can you
Show 97.5, the Fanatic. All right, so what intriguing playoff matchups do you see here in the first round? I actually see an upset in the first round in the NFC playoffs. Can you guess what that is?
Well, I'm looking at the lines right now. So you got the Bucs are favored by 3.5 against the Commanders. The Vikings are favored by 2.5 against the Rams.
There it is. Stop right there.
That's who I would take.
Rams win.
I'm picking the Rams too, I think.
I think Minnesota got exposed a little bit. Their magic got a little bit kicked down, and so I think that the Rams can actually win that game, which would throw. If Tampa Bay wins, then that means the Rams would come to Philadelphia.
No,
they win
the
that game,
opposite.
Right?
If the Rams and the Bucs win,
if Washington wins, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, if the Rams and Bucs win, Eagles get the Bucs. If the Commanders win, Eagles get the Rams in that scenario. Because the Lions are going to get the lowest seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Commanders win, then the Eagles will get the winner of the Rams-Vikings game on Monday night.
How do you like that?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things I like is that team would be on a short week against the Eagles because they're playing on a Monday night. And the Rams coming here to Philadelphia don't scare me. The Vikings coming here to Philadelphia don't scare me. I mean, really, I don't see this. I think the first round, the wild card game, may be tougher than the divisional game that the Eagles would have to play. I think the Packers game, even though I'm picking the Eagles to win, I think that may be a tougher game than if they play the Bucs, the Commanders, the Rams, or the Vikings in the second round. Well, I guess they can't play the Commanders, right? If the Commanders win, they're automatically going to Detroit. So the only three teams the Eagles could play, Bucs, Rams, Vikings, they don't scare me. Even the Bucs and the whole Todd Bowles stuff, that doesn't scare me.
I totally agree with you. The Bucs don't scare me. The Rams don't scare me at all. Vikings, a little mild, but the reason why I give the Lions, listen, the Lions are really good at home. They're really good indoors. They'll be a favorite in that game against the Eagles.
You're assuming they get there, man.
This Lions. I know you're starting with your Lions hate already.
I'm not sure they win the game.
Funny. We're going to go over this specific play that you had a problem with. I saw your tweet about Dan Campbell being reckless on 4th and 2.
4th and inches, Mike.
4th and inches. Passes the ball for a touchdown.
No.
Oh,
different time.
One?
Different time.
Oh, okay.
The fourth
wasn't the one that Gibbs you're talking about?
Yeah, the 4th and 2 touchdown. I actually said to my wife, we were watching the game. She knows I hate Campbell. I said, this is the right decision. You go for it here. I agreed with it. And then it resulted in a touchdown. It was the 4th and inches where they decide to throw a seam that doesn't convert, and they turn the ball over on downs. That was the reckless thing of Dan Campbell going to probably Ben Davis saying, here we go, man. We're going to take advantage here, man.
Well, he was really reckless yesterday, too, in that game because they almost cost him. Almost cost him a loss.
So close.
Yeah, they were so close.
Razor thin margin.
Coaching mistake.
Listen,
really would have hurt him.
Listen, there's a chance that the Lions lose in the divisional round. But if they don't, I'm actually hoping and praying the NFC Championship game is Eagles-Lions. And I've been saying this for a few weeks, Ray.
We all want that, don't we?
Well, most people probably want the game here in Philly, and that's not going to happen.
You want the easier draw to host the game here?
But I've been saying for a few weeks.
I want the Lions.
I want to see Dan Campbell in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles make one of those stupid, reckless decisions, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to gloat to the point where even Ray's going to be annoyed. Because you never get annoyed with me, Ray. But I'll annoy you that day, too.
Of course not. We're not 15 minutes in the show. I'm not already annoyed with you. No, of course not.
All right, so it's a funny thing. We have a text about Tanner McKee. Let's get him out because I expected this today. I expected a lot of Tanner McKee fans to come out and say, if Jalen can't play, we're okay with Tanner McKee. Yeah. All right, what's the text say here?
Terrence from Wilmington is actually on your side about this. I know everyone fell in love with Tanner McKee, but blitz him. He can't move. He's Carson Palmer, Drew Bledsoe. Think about it. Nick Foles is Bambi compared to McKee.
It is absolutely ridiculous to think that Tanner McKee can be an adequate enough backup to get the Eagles a win in the playoffs. And this is the thing about it. I love our fans dearly. They have such quirks. They get, and even Bill, you get so drunk with temps.
But wait a second.
We get drunk with temps. We get Weston Wilson hits for the cycle. We think he's Mickey Mantle. Tanner McKee against the New York Giants and their second string, and oh my God, look how good he is! Come on, we're smarter than this.
But see, you put a qualifier on there that Tanner McKee would be good enough to win a playoff game. I didn't say that. I'm not saying that Tanner McKee would lead this team to the Super Bowl.
Then what's the point of even talking about him?
What I'm saying is he had a good game, and I think he proved that if the Eagles decided to flip Kenny Pickett for maybe draft capital, I'd be okay going with Tanner McKee as the backup next year. That is what I'm saying. Not for the playoff run, not against playoff teams.
Well, this is the only thing that we're talking about here.
Yeah,
I'm reading all kinds of social media. Well, Tanner McKee could come in there and win a game. In fact, I'll read a few of these. I can't believe that people have this kind of reaction. And I go, come on, now, we're smarter than this. We're Eagle fans. We're Philadelphia fans. We are smarter than to think that. All right, let's get to the phones right away because Richard from Marsville is checking in. Richard, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Rich?
Happy Monday. Victory Monday to you, Michael. And good morning, Mr. Colorado.
What's going on, brother?
Mr. Colorado. I like that. That's respect.
Well, you recall. Well, it's just from the face. So anyhow, Mike, let's dive right into it and let's get serious. Okay, so first and foremost, let's talk about the offensive lines in the NFL. I believe that we have the best NFL offensive line. They're the best, okay? Mm-hmm. I see holes. I see gaps. I see just bad moves on the other teams. We're talking about the Vikings. We're talking about the Packers. We're talking about the Lions. There was a lot of, I don't know how to call it, I just seen gaps and openings that gave room that we wouldn't allow Vikings defensive pressure to get. Now, just give me a second. Here we go. Our defense. I also believe that Vic Fangio is better prepared for the gadget stuff, the predictability that the Lions portray. And I also believe that composure. Like, what is the biggest problem with Nick Sirianni? Was his lack of composure. That, I believe, is the downfall of the Lions. So to piggyback off what Bill's saying, it's the aggressiveness that he doesn't have the tact or the composure to say, hold on a minute, maybe I need to punt, maybe I need to do a field goal, maybe I need to do what they did, which was the pre-snap motion on the goal line that got the Lions to jump. Our defense isn't going to do that. So I counterpoint to you, Michael.
So you're going right to the NFC title game. You're bypassing go, and you're going right to the NFC title game, right?
Well, Mike, let's go right to that real quick. So let's look at the history. Let's look at the past. The year that we won the Super Bowl, wasn't the divisional game much tougher than we went into than when we played?
Yeah, I guess it was. I think there is a severe disrespect for the Lions because of Bill. I really do. You've painted this coach to be a buffoon. They've been all banged up. All they've done is won the meaningful games coming down the stretch that they had to win. Very disrespectful. 610-632-0975 is how you get in. Yeah, you want to fast forward to the NFC title game? We can do that. But they got the Packers and somebody else. Mike Missanelli Show. Eagles are in a good spot, though. I like it. I think you like it, too. Back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Wrapping it up with a win. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Groundwork, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. Eagles won their 14th game of the season as their backups beat the Giants 20-13. Tanner McKee tossed for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win. Eagles now set up with a matchup with the Green Bay Packers on Sunday at 4:30 at Lincoln Financial Field to open up the postseason. Nick Sirianni spoke postgame about the matchup.
That's the playoffs. A lot of good teams here, and we'll take one game at a time. I believe it's Green Bay right now, and we'll settle our sights on them, and really good football team, so I'm not really worried about anything else other than that.
Last night, the NFC's top seed was decided when the Lions beat the Vikings 31-9. Lions with the bye and the number 1 seed, the Vikings going to that 5th seed now. Elsewhere in Philadelphia sports, the Flyers fell 3-2 in overtime to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Two sides match up again Tuesday at Wells Fargo Center. 76ers back at home tonight against the Phoenix Suns. You can hear that game right here at 7 o'clock on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update's also brought to you by Discover. Did you know what's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide? If you guess Discover, you guess right based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. I'm Ray Dunn, the home of the 76ers and the Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
snowy out there. I know a lot of people had work called off. Schools were called off last night. They can't wait to call off school. Have you noticed this?
Yeah.
Any kind of snow forecast, boom, they're out.
So my friends and I were texting, like, remember the days when you'd have to be glued to the radio to hear your number? There was nothing more exciting
your
than
number.
that.
KYW News Radio.
Yeah.
Number 712, number 713, number 714.
Do you remember, though, how heartbreaking it would be if you were like number 715 and you heard 712, 713, 714, 716? You're like, ah.
Yeah, but they call it text messages, boom, out to all the parents. Yeah. My doggy daycare, I even got a text from them.
They closed too?
They closed it up today too. Doggy daycare centers.
But we're always here, man.
Yeah.
We're like the post office.
Is this going to be a is this going to like a few inches snowstorm?
I'm not sure.
And people out there can report if you're out on the roads, give us a call, report. We always like to pay it forward here. I remember there was a massive snowstorm. I was on the air, and I asked people that needed to get somewhere. People with the SUVs with the 4-wheel drive. I asked people to pay it forward if somebody needed a ride somewhere, somebody was stranded somewhere. We put it out in the airwaves, and we hooked up a lot of people.
Probably a little dangerous these days.
It is a little dangerous. Now, as I went home from that show, I saw a woman on the side of the road trying to negotiate with a bag and stuff to trying to get somewhere.
And you just blew right past her?
No. I pulled over and I gave her a ride. I said, "Ma'am, where are you going?" I'll take you. So,
Yeah, that was nice of you.
I took her. Well, I had the 4-wheel drive vehicle. Was getting through the snow. I think we all should be. I know it's dangerous. I get it. But there are a lot of people out there who get stranded in situations like that. They have to walk to the grocery store or whatever.
Yeah. The good news is, and it's not not everyone can do this, but with technology, a lot more people can work virtually.
Yes.
You don't have to worry as much. But, yeah, there's some where you got to go in. We're one of them.
Does that apply to us, too?
I mean, we could technically.
Work virtually?
You could technically do it from home, but you don't get the same effect. I like being in the same room as you, Mike. I like being able to look at you and read your facial expressions.
Yeah, is that what it is? You can do the same on the computer.
Although I do owe you a big thank you, man. Me and the wife had a great dinner on Saturday.
You went to my hometown of Bristol.
We did.
The King George Inn, where it's a restaurant on the river, and it's an old inn that apparently George Washington slept there. So it's got a lot of history. He's crossing into Delaware. He made a stop in historic Bristol.
It was a beautiful place, cozy place right on the river. The food was phenomenal. Me and my wife really, really enjoyed it, man. And the CFO, Bruce, kept coming over to the table to talk to us. We were telling him.
The CFO who didn't know who I was?
At first, he didn't know. He said he wasn't from Bristol. He didn't know who you were at first.
Oh, he wasn't from Bristol.
Yeah, he's from North Jersey. But, yeah, I told him, I said, Bristol's own. Mikey missed.
Yeah, he didn't know. He had no idea.
But no, great restaurant.
Until you brought up my podcast.
Yes, he knew the coldest murder because obviously that was a big, big thing in town.
Yeah, and it's been getting around town. And I'm glad you brought that up because this week we will record our final podcast.
Really?
Yeah. So
final until the results come back.
Until the results come back, and then we would come back, but that could take a year. So we're gonna wrap up the podcast this week sometime. We haven't figured out when we're gonna record exactly because of this weather situation. But it will be a synopsis and a recap of all the episodes that we've had. So even if you have not heard the podcast, if you listen to the last one, you'll figure out what's up.
All right, good.
All right.
Good, and then we'll be waiting anxiously for the DNA results.
Correct. All right, 610-632-0975. We got a text about the Lions. We got a text about the Packers matchup. Ray Dunn's in the booth over there. Ray, what do you got?
All right, we'll start with the Lions one. Danny from Bucks County, I'm going to tell you right now, Mike is absolutely right. Detroit has a gear that other teams, and yes, even our Eagles, don't have. The Lions are the best team in the NFL. The Eagles couldn't sustain what Detroit has all year with these injuries. No team could. The Lions are the better team.
Oh, stop. Stop.
Well, I listen, I think they are. I really do. I mean, I know you could poo-poo at all you want. The Lions coming down the stretch with all those injuries managed to win, what, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in a row. Then they lost to Buffalo, and then they won 3 more. So they won 14 of their last 15 games being all banged up. I mean, you could discount that all you want. And in a game for the number one seed, where that other team really thought they were hungry enough to snatch that number one seed and had also been on a run, they rolled that team. 31, I mean, that's impressive, Bill.
Listen, I'm not saying that the Lions, what they did wasn't impressive. I'm not saying they're not a good football team. But what you just said is, look how good they are. They won 14 out of 15 games. Your Philadelphia Eagles just won 12 out of 13 and are 14-3.
I get
and
it,
they're two drops away from being 16-1.
You missed my caveat. They had 13 players injured. It takes a special team to actually listen, I don't know what's going on. I hope the Eagles win the game. I think that Detroit would be a 2.5-point favorite in an NFC title game in Detroit.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
And so they would be the favorite team. Now, can the Eagles, of course, they win the game? They have 2.5. I mean, that's anybody's game. I'm just saying that your hatred for Campbell is shortchanging your evaluation of how good the Lions are. And you've done it all year.
Yeah, I do think that my hatred for the head coach, Dan Campbell, does maybe skew my opinion just a little bit. But I do think when you match up both of these teams, I think the Eagles are the better team on paper. It doesn't necessarily mean it works out that way in an NFC championship game, but I think the Eagles are the better team on both sides of the football. I'm still not sold on that Lions defense. I know last night they shut down Sam Darnold and the Vikings in the red zone, but really, you look at the Lions this year, and they lost another player yesterday in Terrion Arnold. That didn't look good, their corner that got carted off. I think the Eagles are a more complete team on both sides of the football. That's why I would pick the Eagles.
I mean, that's fair. Now we have a text about the Packers matchup. We are fast forwarding right to the NFC title game, and there are a couple of games to win before you get there. So, what are the text people saying about the Packers here?
Andrew from North Carolina, very happy with the placement. Packers being hurt and losing to the Bears makes me feel happy for wild card. After watching Detroit and Minnesota, I am confident we can beat either of them. Eagles are the NFC team to beat regardless of what string of players we have on the
After
field.
watching Detroit, Minnesota, so he wasn't impressed with what Detroit did? Like, I don't understand. After watching a team that smashed a number one seed contenders 31-9, I have to think that the Eagles are the better team. That doesn't make sense.
It's funny because I think it was what Collingsworth said late in that game where he's like, yeah, they haven't had that great of a night on offense, and yet you look up at the scoreboard, they've put up 31 points. I thought last night was more a testament to what the Lions can still do to other teams than anything else.
I totally agree. That was a very impressive win for them. So, and I agree. The Eagles got a pretty good matchup with the Packers, and it comforts me that the line is going up in the Eagles' favor. I mean, this looks like a dead Eagles victory here with the Packers coming into town.
Yeah, the reason I was concerned about the Packers going back a couple weeks ago, though, and this still exists, I'm with you. I think the Eagles should win this game. Is you can't look past them. They do have a very good head coach. Matt LaFleur is an excellent, excellent head coach, and they've had a good defense this year. When I don't know what the numbers are now because of these meaningless games at the end of Week 18, but before these meaningless games just took place, there were only two teams in the NFC playoffs that sat top 10 in points scored, yards per game, and then defensively, points allowed and yards allowed. There was top 10 in all four of those. There was only two teams, the Packers and the Eagles. That was it. And I don't know if the numbers got skewed because of those meaningless Week 18 matchups, but the Packers are a complete team as well. You're right, they're banged up, but I don't think the Eagles are going to overlook them. That's something that Sirianni and this Eagles team hasn't done all season, looking past anybody, and you're not going to look past a playoff opponent, that's for sure.
No. And again, so what do we feel about Jalen Hurts? Really, that's the only thing that is the factor here. Does it worry you at all that they've cocooned him over the past couple of weeks?
No, I mean, I think it's something that, look, it's a talking point to say, hey, the guy hasn't played or practiced in a couple of weeks. Are we concerned? But I think he's played enough football in his career that the moment he gets out on the practice field this week, as long as he has a full week of practice, let me give that caveat. If for some reason we find out when they hit the practice field, I guess tomorrow, if we find out, hey, Hurts still hasn't cleared concussion protocol, maybe I'm a little bit more concerned. But assuming he does full week of practice, I'm not worried about it.
I have a question on the other side about if he does get banged up early in the game, what does that do to the Eagles' chances? We'll talk about it, and we'll talk about who they would choose as the guy who would go in there. It's the Mike Missanelli Show, 610-632-0975, back at the desk.
The Philadelphia Eagles are in the...
We'll be talking football today, but also there's a couple salacious media stories that are out there, one local and one national.
Yeah, it was an interesting 48 hours.
The national one I'm talking about, apparently Skip Bayless is named in a lawsuit, sexual harassment lawsuit from a makeup
Hairdresser, I think.
person that worked for Fox. And hairdresser, makeup person, whatever she was, and she named names, and she throws Joy Taylor into the mix. Who does a show on Fox, and the salacious part of it is that the implication is that Joy Taylor had affairs with a couple of people at Fox.
All allegedly.
Yeah, it's all allegedly. And then you got the local story where that lizard face creep finally got zipped here locally, and a lot of people are asking me, Mike, what is your opinion on this whole thing? And I go, hey, listen, anything I say would probably be interpreted as piling on, but I'll just say that. I mean, you know my feelings about that guy. He is the most contemptible, disingenuous man that I have ever encountered in this business. Wow. There is nothing there is nothing worse than a guy who puts himself in this business and bases his likes on who patronizes him. It is repulsive to me, with the journalism background I have, that guy, all those years, succumbed to people calling him by his first name or patting him on the frickin' head, and the teams or the players or the coaches who didn't, he ripped. There is nothing more disingenuous than that.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things in that whole story was Jeffrey Lurie's calling him to get Brandon Graham out of there because of what Brandon Graham was saying. Because we all were like, when we all heard what was said, it's like, you got to be kidding me.
His
BG.
last act was to carry water for the Eagles, who's been sucking up to for the last 10 years because they patted him on the head and allowed them on the sidelines like he actually was part of a team, which he never was ever in his life.
And then the craziest part is when he tries to go to the game the next day, they tell him he can't be there because he doesn't have the proper credentials. It's like all those
the man
years.
has such little self-pride that he shows up at the game wearing a suit, getting in as buying a ticket or whoever gave him a ticket. It's like, dude, don't even get me started. All right, we have bigger issues to talk about here.
Yeah, we do. So we had that one. You had the Joy Taylor news, whatever. It's alleged. It's all alleged. It's just in a lawsuit. But the reason why Joy Taylor was even mentioned in that lawsuit was apparently the woman who filed the lawsuit against Skip Bayless and FS1 went to her for help, and she told her to get over it. And that was why she included, well, Joy Taylor did X, Y, and Z. So who knows what's true and what's not. But, yes.
Listen, the allegation is that Skip Bayless offered her $1.5 million to sleep with him.
Yeah, 1.5.
That's what the allegation is. Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. Anyway, some interesting stuff, this business, man. This is an interesting business, I guess.
All right. 610-632-0975. Dre in West Philly joins us. What's up, Dre?
Yo, what's up, Bill?
What's going on, Dre? How you doing?
What's up? Mike, I had to let you know, man. You a hater, man. You a hater.
I'm a hater.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
He's hating on Tanner, isn't he?
Yeah. He hating on Tanner, man.
Come on. We overreact to temps in this town like it's nobody's business.
No, it's no overreaction. Now, don't get me wrong.
Stop it.
I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying that I'm going to choose him over Hurts. Never. I would never say nothing like that. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, as far as our third stringer backup, he's a good backup, man.
Who cares? What does it matter that he's a good backup? Who cares? What relevance does it have to this playoff system?
With the Jalen Hurts, man, if he, let's say,
let me ask you, hold on, stop. Are you suggesting that if Jalen Hurts has to go out of the game, this guy can beat somebody in the playoffs? He's got the mobility. He's got the mobility of a freaking stump.
Did we think that about Nick Foles?
Don't even waste my time, Dre. You're wasting my time, Dre.
Did we think that about Nick Foles when Nick Foles came in there? Because I could be the first to raise my hand when Nick Foles came in there. I said, okay, there goes our Super Bowl. We're not going to win shit. And guess what? I was wrong.
Yeah, you can't curse here, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah. Dre, you're wasting my time. All
Listen,
right? This is a waste of my time to talk about Tanner McKee because it doesn't matter if you think he's a good backup or not. If he has to play, the Eagles aren't going to win. It's simple as that. It's like Josh McCown. Everybody felt, Josh McCown. We make the mistake of overvaluing mediocrity in this town. I'm sick of it.
All right, listen, here's why you're wrong, okay? We're talking about something that happened less than 24 hours ago. We just watched a football game at Lincoln Financial Field where Tanner McKee, as the third-string quarterback, whether it was against the Giants or not, came out and had a good game. I don't understand why you're getting angry that we want to
Well, it's
acknowledge that he played
meaningless.
well.
It's meaningless that Tanner McKee had a decent game against a Drek team playing their backups.
I wouldn't say it was
What
meaningless.
relevance does it have?
It has relevance in that you have to feel better about the quarterback position
Why?
behind Jalen Hurts now.
Why do you have to feel better about it?
Because the guy played well.
The guy's a dime a dozen backup in the league.
Is he?
Yes. Why should we feel?
Well, wait.
You've seen this guy enough to proclaim. Now he's a solid back. He played one game against a crap team.
And he played well.
So what?
The state of the quarterback position in the NFL right now, when you look at it, all 32 NFL teams, the fact that the Eagles have two quarterbacks behind Jalen Hurts that you wouldn't be absolutely petrified about if they had to come into a game makes me feel good. I'm not saying that they should start over Hurts. They're nowhere near Hurts.
Then of course you have to be petrified. Then what relevance does it have that you have two backups that are okay? What does it matter? It doesn't matter.
Okay.
What is the benefit of it, Bill?
Then let's look at it from the reverse. What if Tanner McKee performed the way Carson Wentz performed yesterday? Because Carson Wentz looked terrible against the Denver Broncos. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you don't feel worse about your backup quarterback than what you would as an Eagles fan? If Tanner McKee played terribly yesterday, then we would be saying, wow, Tanner McKee, he's not an NFL quarterback. I looked at a guy yesterday in his first start as a third-string quarterback who performed well, and I think that we should acknowledge it. Doesn't mean I'm saying he should start over
Well,
Hurts.
then why are you even talking about it?
Because it happened less than 24 hours ago.
So what? It was a meaningless game. Why is this a relevant topic?
Well, it's a meaningless game in the standings. It's not a meaningless game when you look forward to this offseason and figure out what are the Eagles going to do at the backup quarterback position. Now you have some flexibility. Maybe you could trade Tanner McKee. Maybe you trade Kenny Pickett. Maybe it helps you get some draft capital.
Okay, so fine. When that bridge comes up, then we'll talk about it. What I don't understand the relevance of this topic right now, unless you are saying that if Hurts has to go out of a game, Tanner McKee can win the game for you. Fact is, he won't even get. They'll still go with Kenny Pickett. So what does it matter what Tanner McKee did yesterday? It doesn't matter to anybody or anything.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I can't agree that it doesn't matter.
Where does the praise benefit the fan base or you or Eagle fan? I don't get it.
And where does the lack of praise benefit? Like, why not acknowledge that we watched an Eagles game yesterday and the quarterback played well?
Okay, fine. I've seen that happen. How many times? I saw it with Gardner Minshew, and everybody, oh, Gardner Minshew. Or I saw it with Josh McCown. Oh, Josh McCown. It happens to everybody, and we get conned into thinking that one game, one temporary thing, solves problems down the road somehow. It doesn't.
I'm getting you a Tanner McKee jersey.
632-0975. Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Wrapping it up with a win. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new water heater, choose one that's built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. The Eagles won their 14th game of the season in the regular season finale as their backups beat the Giants 22-13. Tanner McKee tossed for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns in the victory. Eagles now set up for a matchup with the Green Bay Packers on Sunday at 4:30 at Lincoln Financial Field. Nick Sirianni spoke postgame about that matchup.
That's the playoffs. A lot of good teams here, and we'll take one game at a time. I believe it's Green Bay right now, and we'll settle our sights on them. And really good football team, so I'm not really worried about anything else other than that.
Looking at the rest of the NFC, the top seed was decided on Sunday Night Football last night. The Lions with a decisive victory over the Vikings to claim the top spot. The Vikings now go to the 5th seed in the conference. Elsewhere, Philadelphia sports, the Flyers fell 3-2 in overtime to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Two sides will match up again Tuesday at the Wells Fargo Center. 76ers back at home tonight against the Phoenix Suns. You can hear the game right here at 7 o'clock on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update's also brought to you by Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Coming January 25th, the biggest fighting event ever to hit Philadelphia, Knucklemania 5 from Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships. Saturday, January 25th at Wells Fargo Center. I'm Ray Dunn, the home of the 76ers and the Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Missanelli Show, we have a variety of texts. Listen, I played a reality game here, man. I'm in the playoffs with the Eagles. And the fact that we're happy about a backup third-strings performance against the stinking Giants, the last game of the year, should have no relevance to what we're going into here. If Jalen Hurts can't play, they're not going to win. And I don't care what you think of Tanner McKee. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. Let's go back to the text board. We've got some texts, a variety of texts. Ray, what do they say?
Yeah, now we got people chiming in on the McKee conversation. Mike in Abington. Didn't Mike say the same thing about Foles, who won the Super Bowl? Mike brought up the topic now. He asked, why are we talking about it? Nobody's saying play McKee over Hurts, but if needed, we may be okay with McKee and the starters.
Yeah, you're not going to be okay. Nick Foles had a lot more experience, even though I didn't think he was a great player. He still had some experience. This kid played one game against the frickin' Giants. Now, we're going to put it on the same level? Stop it, please. People, you're making me crazy. In this town, it is unbelievable how we overreact to temps.
All right, look, I am with you on if you didn't have Hurts for an extended playoff run, I don't like our chances. But if, God forbid, Hurts had to miss a second half of a game, I would be confident that with this team, that either Kenny Pickett or Tanner McKee could come in and do enough to still win the game. You even saw it with Chad Henne and the Kansas City Chiefs a couple years ago. You remember when Mahomes had to leave the game?
He played 1,000 years in this league.
I'm just saying that I feel better about the backup position.
This guy is as mobile as you. And so what would you do as a defensive coordinator? Would you blitz him?
Of course.
Oh.
And you got to hope that the guy's able to make the right reads and get the ball to his playmakers in
Bill,
space.
You're smarter than this, Bill.
Look, I'm hoping this is all a moot point.
You're killing
we don't
me.
ever want to have to deal with this because you want to see Jalen Hurts. This is not a Hurts isn't good enough. Hurts is the best quarterback on the roster by far. But to acknowledge that you should feel better today than you did yesterday about the state of the entire quarterback room in Philadelphia, I don't think is irrelevant.
The state of the whole quarterback room. The state of the quarterback room. We're in the playoffs. The state of the quarterback room is Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee. That's what the state. That's what the state of the quarterback room is. And you're like over here like it's Joe Namath and like what are you even talking about?
I'm acknowledging a good performance.
You're being ridiculous.
Right? Is there anyone that agrees with me on the text board? I can't. I don't know why I'm beating my head against the wall in here.
Need a backup in the Washington game. Kenny couldn't do it. Cost us the 1 seed. Need a backup 2 years ago. We had to rush Hurts back to make sure we got the number 1 seed. Pro Tanner McKee.
There we go.
You people are delusional.
Tanner
Delusional.
McKee, baby. I'm getting you a jersey. Tanner McKee jersey for next year.
Okay. Listen, I got to give it up. I've never seen anything like the phenomenon in this town of temps. And you can go to every sport where a guy has had a decent moment, and we project it like, oh, my God, our problems are solved. It's amazing to me.
Wildly, in the year 2025, we have a texter defending Carson Wentz.
Oh, God.
Bill, come on. Wentz played with the Chiefs' backups against Denver's first-team defense.
So did McKee. McKee played with a backup offensive line, backup wide receivers, backup running backs, and granted, the Giants stink, but they weren't all the Giants' backups in that game.
I think that's the line we're looking for there. Granted, the Giants stink. A little different than, Denver trying to get a playoff spot.
Dude, Carson Wentz threw for 98 yards, was sacked 4 times, and had a quarterback rating of 22.2 on a guy that we thought was a franchise quarterback.
Let me just read some text. From my text, Mike missed 2-5. Josh Reynolds. All kidding aside, I think we found our permanent backup moving forward in Tanner McKee. Unbelievably impressed with the kid.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you freaking kidding?
There you go, Mike. Permanent backup.
There we go. Jeffrey Reinhardt. I don't think the team folds if Hurts goes down. Can they win with a backup? This team will fight. McKee has size, smarts, and let's be honest, throws a nice ball. I can't take it anymore. I just can't. I don't know if I can get through this shit. Can I go out in the snow? Can I go out and make a snow angel? Can somebody get me some rum?
Oh, man. I don't know why you're getting so worked up.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to WPEN and WPEN HD, Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Welcome to the 11 o'clock hour of the Mike Missanelli Show. And guess who leads off the 11 o'clock hour? Oh, our pal Ish from Levittown. Is he there? Ish!
This is very, very bad.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
What's going on, Ish? He
Hey,
answered
how are
the
you?
call.
Yeah. Mike, I'm actually down here in Bristol. It's actually nice out here right now. I was
Nice
just
out there.
walking,
It's up. It's coming down like crazy.
Yeah, I'm about to actually go.
The
swim.
winter
I was about to-
wonderland in my hometown.
Yeah, it is. It's actually nice in the historic part of Bristol. I was about to make a snow angel, but I didn't.
Yeah, boy.
But listen, I don't. Tanner McKee went to Stanford. There's really not much I can say about that. I can't dwell on the backup. I don't know why Philadelphia is so intrigued about a backup quarterback. Why are we intrigued? We like the Nick Foles, and I understand it, but we need to focus on the game of Green Bay.
Well,
actually
listen,
think the
it is
Eagles-
this Foles factor probably plays a role in this, but it's not like it's only been Foles. Every backup who has had a temporary moment, we get silly about.
Yeah, Ty Detmer, Jeff Garcia,
Coy Detmer.
Michael Vick.
Yeah, well, Michael Vick had a pedigree, but you're right. Garcia, Coy Detmer. You can go down the line.
Get it.
Minshew, McCown,
Yeah.
Josh McCown. You might have thought Josh McCown was a freaking Hall of Famer the way people talked about him in this town.
Maybe it's the underdog mentality. I don't know what it is.
Probably
I
is.
just want to focus. I just want to focus on the Green Bay game.
Go ahead.
I'm not really afraid of Green Bay, but we do have to prepare. It's not like the last game that we played on in the first game. I just think we need to focus on filling the corners up and making sure that Jalen plays a clean-cut game. And I think we'll win it, hopefully. So
I agree. I think the Eagles win this game. All I have to do is look at the line. A lot of people think the Eagles are going to win this game. I'm in. All right. I thought the Packers are a little banged up. They're a little unsure of themselves right now. The quarterback has been getting hurt. They lost a receiver, a key receiver, Christian Watson, who got some speed. I like the Eagles in this game.
And Mike, one more thing. I agree with you a little bit on the Lions. The Lions with Gibbs in the backfield, I'm just afraid of that a little bit with the Lions. But will it be a good game? Yes. I can't call it right now. I think we should just get through Green Bay first.
I thought that the Eagles would have the edge if the game was here. Listen, I got to give them respect. They've pulled it off. They're really good at home. They reeled against Buffalo and are all banged up, and then they come back and, they were on the road 2 games. The Bears not that impressive. 49ers, I guess you can say that wasn't exactly impressive. But in the biggest test of the year, they blew out a team that was playing for the number 1 seed. That's impressive to me.
They're an impressive team. I'm not going to take that away from them. I just don't think they're as good as the Philadelphia Eagles when you stack them up on paper. And I get it. You don't play the games on paper, and this game would be played at Ford Field. I just don't think they're going to be able to stop the Philadelphia Eagles run. I know they have, I think, a top 5 rushing defense in terms of yards per game, but if you look deeper, they give up a lot of yards per carry. It's just that they've got out to such big leads offensively, teams haven't been able to run the football against them. But they are 30th against the pass. And again, we're talking about the Lions. We still got to get there. There's 2 more games before you would get there. I just see the Eagles putting up points against that Lions defense, and you have the number 1 defense in the NFL in Philadelphia. So that high-powered Lions offense is not going to score as many points as the Eagles would score in a game. That's
they
what
know
I
how
think.
to play at home, though. They know
do.
how to play on a fast track.
But you got to take care of the Packers. You can't overlook the Packers.
Let's get some Tanner. This is Tanner McKee Day, ladies and gentlemen, in the Delaware Valley. So let's get right into it for our text board. A lot of Tanner McKee action coming in.
All right, we got Johnny Mars checking in. The rest of you are delusional. Ray, tell Mike Johnny Mars hates agreeing with him, but he is 100% correct. We got Frank from Mount Laurel. I think Tanner's performance is worth discussing. If the front office thinks he showed enough to be the backup next season, we get a good draft pick for Pickett in the offseason. It's worth discussing. Christmas is over, Mike. No need for the bah humbug.
Yeah.
Bah humbug.
You're like the Grinch.
There's a difference.
You're like the backup quarterback
There's a difference
Grinch.
between bah humbug and the truth. All right, I go with the truth, and I think it's ridiculous how we get crazy over temporary performances. I've always been like that in every sport. Fans get nuts over temporary performances. I go, oh, so what? This team, if this team doesn't have Jalen Hurts, they're not any good. Well, they're good, but they're not championship level.
And I agree with that, but I don't understand when you say go nuts. The game happened less than 24 hours ago, and we have an entire week to get ready for the Packers. I'm trying to acknowledge yesterday's performance of a backup quarterback that came in and played well.
Okay, yesterday's performance. Oh, it was great. It was wonderful. Now let's move on because it doesn't attach to anything. This is what I'm saying. What does it attach to? Does it attach to this? I don't think the team folds if Hurts goes down. McKee has size, smarts, and let's be honest, throws a nice ball. Now, is that what we're attaching it to? Because then that's a conversation. If you're saying that Tanner McKee can come in and win playoff games, then I'm with you. Otherwise, this conversation is like cigar smoke on a windy day.
Brady from Norristown takes it a step further.
Oh, God, what do we got?
What's it say about how efficient our offense was in the first quarter under Tanner McKee when we scored on the first drive?
Are you nuts?
First quarter offense.
Sir, are you nuts? What's that guy's name?
Brady from Norristown.
Brady from Norristown. Are you mentally challenged to say something like that? Seriously? Well,
I think.
Are you kidding me?
See, this is the problem. And this is the fear, Mike, of me praising Tanner McKee, is the Jalen Hurts haters will come out and say things like that. And two things can be true. You could acknowledge that Tanner McKee played well yesterday against a bad Giants team. You can say what I've been saying, that I feel good about him as a backup quarterback. But he's not Jalen Hurts, and he should not be starting over Jalen Hurts. And the fact that there are going to be Hurts haters that come out of the woodwork, because I saw them on Twitter, we've got them on the text board, I see people on the line waiting to talk about it. That's just being a Hurts hater, and I agree with Mike. Now you're getting a little crazy.
All kidding aside, I think we found our permanent backup. Unbelievably impressed with the kid. Oh, my God. 610-632-0975. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. Back after this.
Not only can you listen to The Fanatic, but you can also watch.
11 on the Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. The Eagles conclude the season with their backups, and they beat the stinking New York Giants, who obviously got the memo. The coach got the memo. Hey, Dable, you're coming back next year, and we're bringing back the general manager, so lose the frickin' game so we can get the 4th pick in the draft. So they comply, and they lose the game. In the interim, the Eagles conclude a season where they get a W. It's always good to get a W. You roll out of there with a W, and now you can focus on the playoffs, and they get a matchup at home against the Green Bay Packers, where the line originally started out as small, and now it is a little healthier. It's gotten to be 5 in some forms. So the Eagles look good to win game 1 against a team whose quarterback is a little banged up, who lost the wide receiver. It's a good position.
It is a good position to be in. And Jeffrey Lurie won his 300th game as owner yesterday, too. Did you know that? Big day for Jeffrey Lurie. And you look at the Giants, and Ray made the joke on Twitter how obsessed I am with the job security of Joe Shane. You mentioned that they told Brian Dable he's coming back. They're bringing back Joe Shane, too. So
there's no question that both of those guys got the memo before that game.
And both of those guys did not deserve to come back.
3rd and 4th down, the play calls they made early in that game.
Yeah, they went for it in the first half on 4th down.
It's ridiculous. I go, oh, okay, I get it. I get what they're doing here.
But let me ask you, because you're saying you think the Giants wanted to lose. Were you a little bit surprised that the Packers, assuming you take Mike LaFleur at his word, or excuse me, Matt LaFleur, Mike's his brother, I think, that Jordan Love was cleared to come back into that game, and they didn't put him back in as a precautionary thing, means the Packers didn't care about coming to Philly. They weren't trying to win that football game.
Well, they also had Tanner McKee as their backup, so they thought they could, whip.
No.
Oh, no, who was the backup?
So, yeah, who was in the game for them? Malik Willis?
Yeah.
Malik Willis.
But the Packers, if you looked at the scoreboard, if you were scoreboard watching in Green Bay, Commanders were losing to the Cowboys. So there was a chance that if the Cowboys beat the Commanders, if the Packers would have won that football game, they would have been the 6th seed and got to play the Bucs as opposed to coming to Philly, and they still didn't put their starting quarterback in.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting. I don't know if coaches can play that type of game. They're loath to play that kind of game, the playoff game, where who's going to face in the next round. They want to just kind of.
Yeah, he looked at it as, we're not getting a home game anyway.
Yeah.
Why risk Jordan Love?
Yeah, that's probably prudent.
I was just a little surprised that and I think towards the end of the game, maybe they realized they had a shot. I mean, they were clearly trying to win the game at the end.
Yeah, they should have won the game, really, when you think about it.
Dude, it was like, I don't know if you were watching Red Zone at the time. It was crazy because the Commanders and the Packers at the same time where the games were ending. It's a little bit of a wild finish.
They allowed that one play that got them into that kind of field goal range to win the game on the last play. And that, by the way, will be featured on Around the NFL.
Coming up at 11:30.
With the sound coming up at 11:30. Okay, I just want to give the people a programming note here. We've changed it up a little bit here. We have now shorter commercials. I don't know if people are noticing that. We used to have longer commercials. A lot of people say, the commercials are too long. We are a very fluid show. And fluid show means we have the discussions that are perking. And so it benefits us to have the shorter commercials so people don't, go away. You hang in there, shorter period of time, we resume the conversation right away. So this is done for the listeners, basically. It's not for us, certainly, because now we cannot make a road trip to get coffee.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
Now you would think, let me just explain the dynamics here. We've talked about this before. We like our coffee. I like it in the middle of a show because I have it in the morning, and middle of the show gives me a little bit of steam. And Bill, same thing. And we have to make a road trip to WMMR, which is way down the hall. I haven't mapped it out, but I'm thinking it might be a quarter mile.
It's a long walk.
Yeah. So we come back with the coffee, and we usually do that when we had the longer break as we went into the hour. Now we cannot. We are glued to our seat. Now, to accommodate us, you would think that the company would put in our own coffee station here. This is only a thing. Now, how many years was I with the Fanatic prior to me coming back? 15?
A long time.
So in 15 years, I lobbied for this. 15 years.
Well, we got a coffee
15
machine.
years
It's just not hooked up.
So they go through the renovations of this whole place. They put a water line behind the wall, and yet they still didn't hook up any kind of a coffee system.
Yeah, they got the water line, and there's the coffee machine out there. It's just not set up.
Right, because the water line is buried in the walls. So they covered the walls, and they covered the water line.
Yeah, I'm struggling because I would have already had my coffee. So now I'm going to have a
Not
headache.
that anybody at home cares, but I think it may affect the quality of the show.
It's
Because
possible.
unless we have our midday coffee on the show, we're going to be useless. We're like teats on a bull after 12 o'clock.
That's means it's useless, Ray.
That's correct.
It's useless.
Thank you. I picked
See,
up.
but here's the problem. It's not necessarily the walk because I could run real fast to get there, but you can't run back with a coffee in your hand, especially since there's no lids down at WMMR.
You have a steady hand.
You can't. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Well, you got a steady hand, Bill.
I don't know.
By the way, Bill is sporting a new look. In case of the people on YouTube, I'd love to get the comments because this is something that we've urged to get rid of that Amish beard that he's been sporting and go with more of a stubble look. But also, don't shave the head and get the
the hair's coming back too.
The close cropped hair with the stubble look beard has made a major difference.
Yeah, we are going back to the original look. So before the show started, I shaved my head, literally like the day before our show started, shaved my head and decided I was going to go the beard. I took it to the new year, and I realized what everyone else probably realized months ago, that it wasn't a great look. So I'm going back to the original look. So the hair's coming back. I'll just live with the bald spot. I'll tell you, I do look a lot younger. I have to admit.
I don't know about that.
I look younger than Ray.
Yeah, you do. Whatever you tell yourself.
All right, let's get back. Listen, I gotta go with this here. I've been defeated by the people and their Tanner McKee love. So I'm coming around to it. I will now praise Tanner McKee as the second coming. They finally found the quarterback who could actually, if they're interested in trading their starter, they have the guy that. Of course, this is what did Howie Roseman call it? The quarterback factory.
You're
Quarterback
damn right.
factory. Well, this is another product of the quarterback factory.
You're damn right.
So
it is.
here we go. What are the texts saying?
John from Fishtown wants you to go back to your old thoughts on this one because he said the only thing I took out of Tanner McKee's performance is that maybe someone's dumb enough to give up a second for him like the Dolphins did for A.J. Feely.
Oh, there's another one.
Great name.
A.J. Feely. We fell in love with A.J. Feely there for a while, too.
Yeah, and the Dolphins did give up a ton.
Yeah.
Kevin Cobb was another good one.
Yeah, well, Kevin was anointed the starter because they thought that he could be the starter.
Yeah, then he got hurt.
The high draft pick.
Vic came in that year, right?
Yeah. 610-632-0975. That's how you climb in. Coming up is Around the NFL at 11:30. We'll have the news at noon. And I want to hear your reaction. What do you think about the Eagles and the Packers in Game 1 of the playoffs? It's finally here. Back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Wrap it up with a win. I'm Ray Dunn with this Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles won their 14th game of the season in the regular season finale as their backups beat the Giants 20-13. Tanner McKee tossed for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win. Eagles now set up for a matchup with the Green Bay Packers on Sunday at 4:30 at Lincoln Financial Field. Nick Sirianni spoke postgame about the matchup.
That's the playoffs. A lot of good teams here, and we'll take one game at a time. I believe it's Green Bay right now, and we'll settle our sights on them. And really good football team, so I'm not really worried about anything else other than that.
Elsewhere in the NFC, yesterday the top seed was decided on Saturday Night Football. The Lions with a decisive victory over the Vikings 31-9. In Philadelphia sports, the Flyers fell 3-2 in overtime to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Two sides matchup again Tuesday at the Wells Fargo Center. And the 76ers back at home tonight against the Phoenix Suns. You can hear the game at 7 o'clock right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update is brought to you by Ace Hardware Home Services. Got a leaky pipe, having issues with your heat? At Ace Hardware Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it. They've got the pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services. I'm Ray Dunn on the home of the 76ers and the Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Let's play out the playoffs, just hypothetically now that they're all set up. You got the Vikings at the Rams. You got the Commanders at the Bucks. You got the Packers at the Eagles. All right, let's play the game. Eagles win. Commanders win.
Yeah, that's the interesting one.
Rams win.
So then that would
That
be.
sets up then Commanders at the Lions.
Yep.
Rams at the Eagles. That's the way I think it's going to shake out.
I don't know why, because you know I'm not a huge fan of Baker Mayfield. But I think the Bucks are going to win that playoff.
Really? Okay.
I think the Bucks are going to beat the Commanders. I don't know why.
They did not look good yesterday.
They did not.
All right, so if the Bucks win, the Bucks then come to Philadelphia.
Correct. And then the Lions would get the winner of the Rams-Vikings game. So then you get Lions-Vikings.
Well, I got to be honest with you. The Bucks can't win here. Bucks play them tough. It's revenge, though. The Bucks can't win in Philadelphia in cold weather. So
Whoa.
What?
We can't play that narrative again.
Why not?
Because we all remember 2002, man. That was the exact thing that we were saying in 2002.
23 freaking years ago, Bill.
I just remember.
Jesus
I
God.
still have nightmares, man.
Yeah, I get it.
I still have nightmares. Oh, they can't win here.
Yeah,
they haven't won a cold weather game in years.
Completely different situation.
I don't know. I agree. I think the Eagles would blow the Bucks out.
All right, so you have just a different. Either way, the Eagles aren't going to lose at home, whether it's against the Rams or whether it's against the Bucks in the second round. If you believe they're going to beat the Packers, and I think we all do, that believe they're going to beat the Packers. So you look at the next round, it's either the Rams here or the Bucks here. So to me, it's inevitable that the NFC title game will be Eagles at Lions.
Now, let's just look at the Lions for a second. I know they just dominated the Minnesota Vikings. Would there be any scenario where if the Vikings were able to beat the Rams and now they got to play the Lions again, second time in 3 weeks, that the Vikings could beat the Lions in Detroit?
No. No, they dominated that team. They took that team's soul. They're not going to rebound all this and go to Detroit and win that game.
They did dominate it, but at the same time, if the Vikings were able to convert on a couple of their red zone trips, that's a different football game.
Yeah, but the
Vikings got down there 4 times and had like 6 points.
The myth of Darnold got cracked a little bit in that game.
Agreed. I thought Darnold looked terrible.
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to rally. They're not as good as the Lions. So especially, I can't see they're going to beat the Lions at home.
All right, let's play this one out then. Mm-hmm. The Rams go to Detroit. Do you see any chance that the Rams could knock off the Lions in Detroit?
Chance.
Matt Stafford.
Chance, but no.
Yeah, I think that the Rams would have a better shot at beating the Lions than the Vikings would.
You might be right about that.
Because I trust Matt Stafford.
You shortchanged the Lions and their toughness. They have weathered the storm with a lot of injuries. They're a mentally tough team. I know you hate the fact that the coach has something to do with that, but they've got my respect as a good team. Now, can the Eagles go there and win? Yeah. I predict the 2.5-point line. That tells me the Eagles can go there and win. But I think the Detroit Lions have a little bit of an edge right now as we go into the playoffs. I think that's fair to say.
I can't. Maybe the edge is simply because it's at Ford Field. And you're right, they would be favored. It is crazy, though. I feel like it's been 8-9 weeks where we've been predicting a Lions-Eagles NFC Championship game, and the decision was just, well, whether it was here or there. And it looks like it's setting up that way. You look at these other teams, I think the toughest game for the Eagles before the NFC Championship is this week against the Packers. I think the divisional round game would be an easier game. If you get the Bucks, the Rams, the Vikings, I think that's an easier game than the Packers.
We'll continue to talk about it, but right now it is time for Around the NFL. What was the top story? Well, you had to wait until late last night to come up with the top story, which was Detroit Lions got the number 1 seed in the NFC by whomping the Minnesota Vikings 31-9. And who was the star? It was Jahmyr Gibbs. Man, game-breaking player. Gibbs scores 4 touchdowns in the second half, 3 by rush, 1 by pass. Detroit now gets a much-needed week off to heal their wounds, while Minnesota has to go to play the Los Angeles Rams. So let's look at how this game transpired. Gibbs, 23 carries for 139 yards. Caught 5 passes for 31 yards and another score. Goff threw a couple of interceptions in this game after he only got picked off once in the previous 7 games. So maybe that's a little bit of an edge as we go into the NFC title game. But they put this game away after it was 10-9 early in the third when Goff directed a 13-play, 70-yard drive. And here was the pass to Gibbs on a 4th and 2.
And the Lions go for it. The Vikings bring it. Heat. The pass is a touchdown to Gibbs.
Well-designed play. He slid out of the backfield, gave a little shimmy to the safety. Boom, wide open. Goff hits him for the touchdown. And, of course, this report on the game would not be complete unless we heard from the man himself, Macho Man Dan Campbell, speaking to his troops after the game.
You guys look like you remember who the you are. Yeah, that was awesome. That's a hell of a win, guys. All I can think about is, man, we've been forged in this stuff now. This has been 3 years in the making. Some of it 4. Like, that just doesn't happen. You got to work through it, grind through it, and go through the downs to get to the ups of where we're at. That was unbelievable, man. Division winners, back-to-back seasons, and the #1 seed. It was a total team effort.
Yeah, baby. Macho Dan speaking to the troops, and they're just eating it up, Billy. What do you think of that post-game speech?
I'm going to make a bad decision in the playoffs, man, and we're not going to the Super Bowl.
All right. He just can't give it up, folks. Number 2. Well, what else was notable? How about those finishes for the Commanders and the Packers? Let's start with the Pack. They lost to the Bears. Again, we don't know if this is good or bad for the Eagles, but that loss dropped Green Bay to the number 7 seed, and they'll be coming to Lincoln Financial Field with revenge on their mind, all but revenge from a game that happened last year in another country. The Pack looked to be safe after Brandon McManus, yes, for the cherry and the white, smashed a line drive 55-yard field goal in that cold Lambeau air with 54 seconds left to give Green Bay 22-21 lead. Looked like a dub. That was after DJ Moore had given the Pack the ball deep in Bears territory on a costly fumble. I don't know why they were throwing the ball there, but somehow Caleb Williams got the Bears down the field quickly to set up one final play. The last play of the game, a 51-yard field goal attempt for the win from Cairo Santos.
Good snap. Good hold. The kick on the way by Santos, and it is good.
Santos, Dios mío. Good news for the Eagles. Jordan Love got banged up in the game. The Pack may have lost key receiver Christian Watson to a recurring knee injury. Eagles by 1,000,000. Number 3. Meanwhile, the Washington Commanders needed to win to get the 6th seed, and they looked like they were going to choke it up to the Dallas Cowboys. And guess who rescued them? Our old pal, Marcus Mariota. Do the deal. The Commanders said Jaden Daniels after one half of play. They sat him, and Mariota came off the deck to throw for 2 scores, including the game winner to Terry McLaurin with 3 seconds left.
It's 2nd and goal. End zone shot for the lead. It's McLaurin. He's got it. Washington is in front.
And they win it 23-19. The Cowboys started Trey Lance in this game, his first start since Game 2 of the 2022 season. Lance was respectable, but he ain't no starting NFL quarterback. Tanner McKee is, though. Only thing that remains to be seen for this awful Dallas franchise is whether Mike McCarthy will be back. Jerry Jones uncommittal after the game. Number 4. The Falcons needing to win to keep themselves in contention for a division crown and a playoff berth. Wilted and lost to the Carolina Panthers. Turned out it didn't matter anyway after Tampa Bay finished their win over. But that's weak, man. You lose to that game when you need a win. Bryce Young accounted for 5 touchdowns. He passed for 3. He ran for 2 more. His counterpart, Michael Penix, had a pretty good day as well, throwing for 312 yards and 2 touchdowns. The game went to overtime. So let me get a Miles Sanders highlight in here for the Carolina game winner.
Handoff. Sanders. That's a winner for the Panthers. Carolina ends the season with a victory in Atlanta.
Saquon sends his congratulations. All right, number 5. I'm going to close it out with the Bucs-Saints game only because of what transpired on the last play of the game. Tampa Bay had the game in hand, up 27-19, needing only a kneel down in still a 1-score game. But they lined up to run a regular play. Why? Because Mike Evans needed only a 5-yard pass to surpass 1,000 yards for the 11th straight season to tie the great Jerry Rice for the most in NFL history. Evans also had a $3 million bonus clause in his contract for 1,000 yards receiving. And so the Bucs risked the play when all they needed was a kneel down.
Mayfield throwing. Evans. He does it. Jerry Rice has company.
How about that? How about that? Now, was that prudent, Bill? Would you have done that?
Sure.
but you wouldn't have played Saquon to break the record. Right? No, that's a little shaky, Bill.
I don't know. Just look at the Packers, man. I mean, look at the Packers having to play in that game. They got Jordan Love banged up, Christian Watson banged up, and now they got to get ready to play the Eagles on Sunday in a do-or-die situation. I still think the Eagles made the right choice in what they did.
All right, but I'm talking about the Bucs' choice to throw it to Evans there. That's what I was really asking you.
Yeah, but they needed to win. The Bucs needed to win to get the 3 seed.
They already had to win. Did you listen to what I just said, Bill?
I was listening.
Ray, did he tune out?
I think he was in the YouTube
He did
chat.
like a kneel down. I thought I had to do a kneel down. They threw a pass anyway in a 1-score game. Bill didn't listen to any of that I just said.
Loudest that stadium got yesterday, by the way.
It's unbelievable. And Ray was at the game.
He saw Sunburn. Did you see it?
Yeah. You didn't even know what I was even talking about, did you?
I did.
No,
but
you didn't. You didn't at
I
all.
am going at it in the YouTube chat right
You're
now.
going at it in YouTube chat. I'm doing around the NFL. You're not listening to one word. I come back and ask you about it, and you got nothing.
You usually don't come to me after around the NFL. It's usually then, okay, we'll be back on the other side. So I'm going in the YouTube chat.
610-632-0975. This guy. The Mike Missanelli Show continues.
The Philadelphia Eagles are in the
Show 1142. Let's feed the beast, the Tanner McKee beast, because a so-called reporter from ESPN opined on the Eagles situation going into the playoffs. Bill, can you read it, please?
Yes, I can. Gladly. So, yeah, ESPN broke down all the playoff teams. Tim McManus is our friend Tim, who joins us every week. He's on here, too. But Ben Solak, when talking about the Eagles, says this, quote, everything is rosy in Philadelphia so long as Hurts is ready to come out of the concussion protocol and play next week. And if he can't, Tanner McKee probably has a playoff win in him, close quote. You're damn right, Mike. You've been poo-pooing Tanner McKee all day. But he's being recognized even on the national level after that performance yesterday. Playoff win in him, Ray.
One.
That's all he
Singular.
needs. That's all he needs.
It's unreal. Let's go back further in time. I just completed what I think was a masterpiece performance of Around the NFL. I mean, when I do this, listeners are glued to it. And so I go into number 5, all right? Now, do I have to redo this, or are you playing it?
No, I was just giving you a chance to redo it, so Bill can hear it for the first time.
Let me redo it. Let me
block my YouTube.
Let me repeat number 5. Going to close it out with the Bucs Saints game only because of what transpired on the last play of the game. Now, my partner is 10 feet away from me. I just got done saying what transpired on the last play of the game. You would think that the ears would go up. So I continue. Tampa Bay had the game in hand, up 27-19, needing only a kneel down and still a one-score game. But they lined up to run a regular play because Mike Evans needed only a 5-yard pass to surpass 1,000 yards for the 11th straight season to tie the great Jerry Rice for the most in NFL history. Evans also had a $3 million bonus clause in his contract for 1,000 yards receiving. And so the Bucs risked a play when all they needed was a kneel down.
Mayfield throwing. Evans. He does it. Jerry Rice has company.
So, in other words, the unusual part about that is because they could have gone into a victory formation, but they decided to run a play and risk maybe an interception that could have tied the game. So that was my big hut. Now, Ray, you got that, right?
Yeah.
You got it. I go to Bill. I go, well, Bill, what'd you think about that? I said, it's, you know, they would, on a day when they didn't want to play Saquon Barkley, it was the Bucs did or Mike Evans. And you go, well, yeah, I think it was the right move to bench Saquon. You didn't hear one freaking word that I said.
I will admit.
Now, explain this to me. Seriously. Where does your head go?
That's a violation.
I will admit that when you were in the middle of your Around the NFL, I was very deep in conversation on the YouTube chat, battling about 2 different things. 1, me shaving the beard, and 2, my hatred for Dan Campbell. So there was a lot of back and forth with our YouTube audience, which is very strong today, I might add. Very strong audience. We were battling about Dan Campbell. So, yes, I tuned out
You
slightly.
do know that we are doing a live show here,
Yeah,
correct?
but it's rare that you come to me at the end of Around the NFL.
Really, that's not the point. If you're talking into a microphone, I'm listening to what you're having to say. You just completely ignored what I had to say as an important part of the show.
What don't you understand?
In my defense, it's been quite some time since this has happened. Because this used to happen a lot in the beginning. I think I've been very good, right? I can't tell you the last time. I can't tell you the last time. I was battling with the YouTube
You're
chat.
battling with the YouTube chatter, and your partner is giving content to the show. Do you understand how disrespectful that is?
Did I disrespect? You make me feel bad.
Ray, is that disrespectful?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Kinda
When you put it that way. When you put it that way, it is. But it's a live
I
chat.
have never seen anybody with such ADD.
Well, it's
I
not.
swear to God.
I want a Bill cam during around the NFL.
I'm yelling and screaming. We're playing blaring highlights. You're 10 feet away from me, and you didn't hear a word.
It's not just the ADD. It's me engaging with a live chat audience that we
Can
have.
you engage during the commercial?
Well, it was a live chat. If you miss it, I mean, our chat is wild, man. We got a wild chat. We got the best YouTube chat going. I'm telling you that right now.
Oh, my God.
But now that you've highlighted it, I know what you're talking about with Tampa Bay. And I think that was the right decision. And the reason why
it's too late now.
the reason why it's different.
It's too late.
The reason why it was different than the Saquon Barkley one is the players were already playing in that game. You were talking about one play, Mike. One play.
One play where a bounce off a shoulder pad could result in an interception for a touchdown. Not to say nothing of the owner and the press box going, "What are you doing? I got to pay the guy an extra $3.5 million because you're going to run this play."
Well, yeah, you look at the Cowboys. Now, they claim this wasn't the reason Cooper Rush didn't start, but they avoided having to pay Cooper Rush a bonus.
I would like to know, though, from the listeners, how would you feel if you are commentating on something and your partner just completely disregards it? Is this an overreaction by me, or should I look at it as a blatant sign of disrespect?
Well,
I want to hear from people on the chat board.
Well, people in the YouTube chat are saying that you are disrespecting them because you are mad that I'm engaging with them. See, it's me in the YouTube audience versus you right now. Maybe the text board will think
Let's
differently.
call this the Mike Missanelli show where Bill engages with the YouTube chatters. How about we change the name of that? We'll just we'll have a complete refurbishing of what this show is. All right, you want to do that?
Don't get this YouTube audience mad. They'll come to my defense.
610-632-0975. News at Noon is coming your way at 12 o'clock. Mike Missanelli Show with Bill on the chat board continues.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Wrapping it up with the win. I'm Ray Dunn with this Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles won their 14th game of the season in their regular season finale as their backups beat the Giants 22-13. Tanner McKee tossed for 269 yards, 2 touchdowns in the win. Eagles now set up for a matchup with the Green Bay Packers on Sunday at 4:30 at Lincoln Financial Field. Nick Sirianni spoke postgame about that matchup.
That's the playoffs. A lot of good teams here, and we'll take one game at a time. I believe it's Green Bay right now, and we'll settle our sights on them, and really good football team, so I'm not really worried about anything else other than that.
The NFC playoff picture was crystallized last night on Sunday Night Football, where the Lions dismantled the Vikings 31-9. Detroit gets the top seed. The Vikings go to the 5th seed. Elsewhere in Philadelphia sports, the Flyers fell 3-2 in overtime to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The two sides will match up again Tuesday at Wells Fargo Center. Also at Wells Fargo Center tonight, 76ers back at home against the Phoenix Suns. You can hear the game right here at 7 o'clock on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update is brought to you by KFC. KFC has 5 bowls for just $5 each, including the returning fan favorite mac and cheese bowl packed with all your favorite flavors. They've got your cravings covered. I'm Ray Dunn on the home of the 76ers and the Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5, The Fanatic. You got some coaching news that's coming up. The Jets, first of all, Rex Ryan has announced that he 100% is the best candidate for the Jets coaching job. He's not going to get another shot.
I would say no.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Anyway, the Jets have requested head coaching interviews with a couple of people. Number one is Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady. The other is 49ers coach Brian Griese. Brian Griese. Did you know Brian Griese was the 49ers quarterback coach?
I'd be lying if I said I did.
I didn't know that either.
I mean, you know what? Now that I think I've seen him on the sidelines, though, to be honest. But yeah,
I thought he had moved into commentating
for a little while.
Football.
For a little while, he did. But you see, the Jets also requested to interview Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions.
Oh, also the Bengals. This guy was riding high a couple years ago. Bengals have fired defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo.
Remember, NFL stands for not for long, Michael.
Wow, he was hot property.
I'm surprised. I just said to you, when we're looking at all these names, Kellen Moore hasn't popped up yet as a potential head coaching candidate, which could be good news for the Eagles. With all the change at the coordinator position over the last couple of years, it'd be nice to see them all come back next year. I still hate this. I still hate that the NFL allows interviews to happen during the playoffs. I think everything should start the Monday after the Super Bowl. Why are you allowing this distraction to set in on teams? And look, if the Eagles don't have anybody interviewing, that's good news for them, but it's not fair to the Lions that their offensive and defensive coordinator are both preparing for interviews instead of their next game.
True. Also, did you see what Jerry Jones did on Sunday? Who he started? Trey Lance, right?
Because Cooper Rush was owed a
$500,000 incentive for playing at least 55% of the snaps, which he would have had he played that game.
Ray knows why I'm looking at him.
What was that?
No.
Because I said this in the last segment and you didn't listen to me.
Really?
Oh, Mike.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No.
So who's got the ADD now?
Oh, no.
Ray?
We're even.
We are even.
When did you say that?
Literally like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, good.
Literally.
Oh, man.
Yes.
For a second, I thought you were doing a bit there.
I did too.
I'm losing my edge.
I thought he was just mocking me for a second.
No.
So now we're even.
We're all square going into the side.
I don't know. I think you're ahead 17-1.
Yeah, you may be right.
All right, let's go back to the text board. We have a very important text that we have to read.
Yes, I just appreciate this person checking in with me. Eric from Virginia. Ray, how do you keep these two lawyers in check?
Yeah. Ray's got the
coffee that
toughest
we don't
job.
have.
Ray's got a tough job.
But we still got a lot of people checking in on McKee. We got a texter, first-time texter. They wanted to check in about McKee for their first time here. Bill's love for Tanner McKee's mediocre rear end while hating Dan Campbell is baffling. Stop being a homer and call it down the line.
See, I don't understand. I really don't understand. I don't understand Mike either. How less than 24 hours removed from a football game where you saw a third-string quarterback make his first ever NFL start and perform very well. And I told Mike a stat earlier that he's only the second quarterback in Eagles franchise history since the 1970 merger to throw for over 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in his first career start. Why can't we just give the guy his flowers? I'm not saying he's better than Hurts.
I'm not giving him flowers. I look at everything on a bigger scale. To me, what he did was meaningless. It doesn't equate to anything. So I don't waste time praising how great he was because he did it against a terrible team playing their backups. It means nothing to me. It literally means nothing to me. You want to give him a Whitman sampler? Like what do you want from me?
All right, you are correct in that for this season it probably means nothing. And I know that we're focused on the immediate future of the playoffs, but if you're looking to the offseason, I think it will mean something. Maybe a team will give you some draft capital for one of your backup quarterbacks, whether it's McKee or Pickett. So it's going to mean something in the offseason because do you keep both of these guys, all 3 quarterbacks? I mean, clearly you have Hurts, but if you could trade Pickett or McKee, who's under contract, why wouldn't you do it?
That's an irrelevant factoid right now to me. what they could do with their backup quarterback.
You're right. Right
or,
now.
or whether around the league, some idiot would be that impressed that Tanner McKee beat the Giants. All right, it is 12 noon, WPEN and WPEN HD. That's what you're listening to, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. And yes, it is noontime, which means it is time for the news at noon.
There's a whole lot going on in this world. It's time to catch up. Here's the news at noon. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The news at noon. 3 items that Ray Dunn has uncovered as a major interest to the listeners of the Mike Missanelli Show. Ray, what do we have today?
Major interest here. I'm sure a ton of people caught this one. I'm sure nobody caught this one. But we'll start out in a week where a lot of backups are out there on the field. I'm questioning whether or not there are backups in the CBS studios. They had a game break inside of the Titans-Texans game that would be suitable for an audience member like Bill, who might not be paying attention to the exact game they're watching because they cut back to that Texans-Titans game.
Throws him. It's incomplete. Time to go to New York for an update.
Guys, this must be a mistake, but I'm going to do it anyway. We've got a Houston Oilers fumble picked up by the Houston Texans and ran back for a touchdown. And yes, that does appear to be 2 times in a row that the Houston Oilers uniforms have been worn against the Houston Texans, and the Texans happen to be 2-0 while wearing them. How about that?
Thank you, JJ, for that history lesson.
Can you explain what just went on there?
What just happened there? The Titans were in the Houston Oilers jerseys.
Yeah.
They tried to make humor out of the 2 Houston teams because they realized immediately they were cutting from the Titans-Texans game to the Titans-Texans game. You don't need a game break when you're in the actual game that you're watching.
Oh.
Yeah. And was that McCarthy?
It was McCarthy.
Yeah.
Tommy?
Tom McCarthy, yeah.
All right.
So they had a little...
Yeah, a little snafu for you.
But let me ask you, don't you I mean, I know they do that intentionally, but isn't that a little bit of like throwing salt in the wound to wear the Houston Oiler uniforms against the Houston Texans?
For sure.
Like, could you imagine if the Baltimore Ravens wore Cleveland Brown uniforms against the Cleveland Browns?
Good point, Bill.
I mean, that would be...
Tremendous point, but I like that Houston Oiler logo.
It is nice.
Always
I
had
do.
it.
I like it as well.
Earl Campbell. Skull, brother.
Wait, didn't they were the Tennessee Oilers for 1 season, right?
Were they?
I think they were. I think when they went to Tennessee,
Really?
I don't think they immediately became the Titans.
When you check out paying attention for me when I play this next soundbite, you look it up, and then we'll reconvene in a couple seconds here.
Dan Pastorini, quarterback of the Houston Oilers, threw up next to me at a urinal. That's who. Those are the players.
2 seasons.
Those are the players that I remember from the Houston Oilers.
2 seasons they were the
How
Tennessee
about
Oilers.
Elvin Bethea? The Hall of Famer, isn't he, Bill?
I don't remember.
I don't even know who Elvin Bethea is.
I don't remember him.
All right, go ahead, Ray.
All right, let's take you to Miami. This is the sound of the week when it comes to teams headed towards the offseason. Tyreek Hill asked about his future in Miami, and it looks like he's gone.
This is my first time I haven't been in the playoffs, man. So, I mean, for me, like I said, man, I just got to do what's best for me and my family, dog. If that's here or that's wherever the case may be, man, I'm finna open that door for myself, dog. As I'm opening the door, like I'm out, bro. You know, so
wow.
It was great playing here, but.
You mean you thinking about leaving here?
If it is, hey, yes.
The best part is, as he's saying yes, he's walking away from the media scrum.
I'm out, bro.
What is-
dude? You know, it's funny. The best thing for his family. He is under contract for a lot of money, isn't he?
Yeah,
But that was the best thing he could do for his family.
there was more to that story, though.
What?
He refused to go into the game. Did you see that whole thing?
Yeah, I did see that as well.
So he
Second
didn't want
half,
to.
yeah.
He didn't want to go into the game once he looked up and saw that the scoreboard of the Broncos game, I guess, which
It was out of hand.
was eliminating them from contention. So he didn't want to play anymore. I think
Well,
I would hate him as my teammate.
What's
man.
going on in Miami? You got the basketball team with Jimmy Butler. You got the football team with Tyreek Hill. I thought that was the destination spot. Everybody wants out. All right, number 3.
All right. Very quick clip here for you. This is just to burn Bill a little bit. Vikings-Lions ends last night. The 2 coaches embrace. And Dan the Man just letting Kevin O'Connell know he appreciates the season he's had, and you'll see him in a little bit.
Good job, Gracie. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Mike Tirico loved that, by the way. But 2 weeks, he's calling for a rematch, which means he thinks the Eagles are going to win.
All right. Yeah, you're right. Look at that. He also thinks the Bucs are going to win, though. Because if the Commanders or the Packers win, they would go to Detroit. So he has all the favorites winning. Dan Campbell, smart man, Dan Campbell. A lot of respect for that guy.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know, man. The worst thing could have happened yesterday was that they housed the Minnesota Vikings for you. You were just so rooting for the other side.
Listen, I will say that Dan Campbell, my hatred for him has become a little bit of a shtick that's over the top, but I do still believe that he will make a reckless decision in a very important game that will prevent them from winning a Super Bowl. I firmly believe it. The guy has shown no growth from last season to this year. He continues to make those decisions. They haven't hurt them. They've been able to win in spite of some of those decisions. But when you get to the playoffs, things change. When you get to the playoffs, those little decisions can be the difference between a win and a loss with your team going home. And I still need to see that he won't do it in a big moment. And until that happens, my hate will continue.
12 o'clock hours brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months. Get a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at ServiceFirstHVAC.com. The Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Andrew DiCecco.
When you look at what the Eagles have, they are the
Missanelli Show. Here's how you get in: 610-632-0975. I'm mildly surprised at the lack of response to the Eagles' first-round opponent. Does that mean that the Eagle fans are a little nervous about that? We're not nervous at all. I got to be honest with you. At one point, you guys had kind of sounded that alarm about how Green Bay would be a really tough opponent. I don't think you're sounding that alarm, neither you or Ray, especially now that the line is inching up in the Eagles' favor. That tells me a lot. So I don't think Green Bay, with a quarterback who's a little bit banged up, is going to come into Philly and win this game against the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not sure how banged up Jordan Love is. I mean, we don't know. Was that just a precautionary thing after he hits his elbow? Is he fine? I mean, they did say he lost some feeling in his hand. Are they just trying to cover it up? I mean, we really don't know, but I'm looking more at how this team, talking about the Packers, has looked the last 2 weeks, and they didn't look good. And they didn't look good 2 weeks ago against the Vikings, and then the Vikings come out and look the way they did last night against the Lions, and now I'm thinking, how good is this Packers team? And I dove deeper into their record this year. They only have 2 wins against any of these playoff teams, and you got to go all the way back to Week 7, the last time they beat a team that's currently in the playoffs. So maybe they're not as good as we originally thought, but they do have a top 5 offense, and they have a top 5 defense. So on paper, they look like they would be pretty good. How big of a loss is Christian Watson? I saw somebody tweet at us telling us that we're being, homers in saying Christian Watson is a huge loss because he's not even in the top 5 of receptions for that team. That means you haven't been watching the Packers, because you're right. He only has 29 catches this year. But Christian Watson's average yards per
Big
catch.
play guy.
Yeah, 21.4.
Yeah.
Massive big play guy. And when you take a guy like that off of your offense, you can't blow the lid off of a defense.
Up the field.
Exactly.
All right, back to the text board. This is interesting because we haven't heard any response yesterday about Jalen Hurts being rusty when he comes back. I hadn't played in a really long time, but somebody's addressing that on the text board.
Yeah. First-time texter. Interesting thing when we talk about Eagles quarterbacks is the fact that, let's not forget, if Jalen Hurts plays, it'll be first start in a month. He never plays well after a break, let alone a month. What do you think of this?
I was mildly concerned about him not playing for a long while, but he might start off slow, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a factor.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it either, but I'm wondering, and maybe just my memory's not serving me correctly, but he never plays well off of a long break. I mean, I'm going back to 2022, the year the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. He missed 2 games with the shoulder, comes back the final week of the season just to win to make sure they get the first-round bye. And then I think he looked pretty good all the way through the Super Bowl where he outperformed Patrick Mahomes. You go back to the first game of the year this year against the Green Bay Packers. He didn't play at all in the preseason. He came out. He threw for 278 yards and 2 touchdowns. Granted, 2 interceptions in that game. But I thought that was one of his best games throwing the ball. So I'm not sure. Am I forgetting something here, Ray or Mike, where when Jalen has missed a game or two that he's come back and looked that awful? I don't remember that. Do you have anything that's popping into your head?
Nothing pops into my head.
That's what I mean.
I'm not worried about it because of the style that he plays, where he can break you with his legs and eventually, get tuned in. He's got a running game that helps him. He's got his own legs to help him. He's got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. He's got the tight end back now. Dallas Goedert played yesterday. By the way, McKee threw a couple balls behind him.
He did.
And I know everything wasn't surgical for
and I'm
your
watching,
favorite backup quarterback.
I was watching that game, too, and I kept saying, all right, get Goddard out now. Like, you got him a little bit of game rep. Get him out. Like, what was that? And then how about Jordan Davis playing pretty much the whole game?
Yeah. Was that punishment?
I don't know. I mean, I just saw McLean wrote an article about, Jordan Davis embraced it. He embraced it was an opportunity to play. But that was weird to me.
I know a lot of people were excited to see Will Shipley play. What'd you think of him?
You being sarcastic because I said that on Friday?
I'm just, I'm asking.
Well, look, the Eagles are going to have a decision to make because I don't believe Kenny Gainwell's under contract next year. So do they bring him back or do they decide we're okay with Will Shipley being our number 2?
I didn't ask, are you okay with Will Shipley?
I like Will Shipley.
You like him?
I do. I like him. I think he would have gone higher in the draft if he ran at the combine. He was hurt. He ran at his pro day. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but his 40-yard time would have been very high. I think he would have been drafted higher. He missed the combine, which allowed him to fall, and I think the Eagles made a nice pick. I think they got him in the 4th round, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like Will Shipley. You're not going to see him much in the playoffs, hopefully, but
No, you won't see.
for the future.
All right, we have a text criticizing Bill's Campbell hate.
We actually have 2 texts criticizing Bill. We'll get to the
Okay.
Campbell one in just a second.
Okay.
Total violation on Bill going back to the Around the NFL. This isn't the first time. Pay attention to the damn show. You're like my kids and that damn YouTube.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What did he say?
It's very unique working with Bill. He is so consumed by the chat board that I could say like there was a volcano exploded in the middle of Manhattan, and Bill would go, well, I'm in the middle of the chat board here.
All right, listen, and this is truth. This isn't just me defending myself here. This isn't just me trying to get the YouTube chat to like me. Me and the YouTube chat have a special connection. Okay, every day it's the same people in the chat. It's a lot of good banter. I say it all the time. We got the best YouTube chat.
good.
We got the best YouTube chat going. There's hilarious things in here. And Mike, you got to understand, the reason why I pay attention to it is if you don't look at it for 2 minutes, all the comments that were made are gone. I mean, it's constant. Look, see, I appreciate you, Bill. Stay engaged with the chat. Bill's a hero. Yeah, Bill. Bill taking one for the team.
Yeah, Bill.
We know someone's going to pay for that statue.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
My chat loves me.
All
you know
right.
what? I need all the people in the chat to come after Mike on Twitter. Do it.
As for Campbell, John from Levittown, does Bill realize that Dan Campbell's going for it on 4th down because his defense has a million guys on IR? He has to do that in order to keep the team winning, not just because he wants to. It's a smart move.
Listen, I understand what you're talking about this season. At times, Dan Campbell had to stay aggressive because of his defense. But I, again, go back to the NFC Championship game last year where that aggressiveness crossed the line into recklessness, and he's the reason they lost the damn game. And you've seen it again. Even last night, 4th and inches. And I know Ben Davis calls the plays, but a head coach has to sign off on a call like that. When you decide to go for it on 4th and inches and you run a seam and you have Jared Goff drop back to throw a bomb, that was dumb. It didn't come back to hurt him, but that was dumb.
All right. 610-632-0975 is how you climb in. I love these social media reactions, though, to the media world. People are engaged in media world, man.
What, you talking about what happened with Joy Taylor and Acho and all?
Acho, Joy Taylor, Skip Bayless.
Well, it's salacious.
It is. People love salacious details when it comes to people in the media.
But I don't understand Acho making things worse, going back and deleting a video from 2 years ago about him praising Joy Taylor.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. That's on the other side. 610-632-0975.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Wrapping it up with a win. I'm Ray Dunn. Try that one more time. I'm Ray Dunn with this Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles won their 14th game of the season. Their regular season finale as the backups beat the Giants 20-13. Tanner McKee tossed for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win. Eagles now set up for a matchup with the Green Bay Packers on Sunday at 4:30 at Lincoln Financial Field to open up the postseason. Nick Sirianni spoke postgame about that matchup.
That's the playoffs. A lot of good teams here, and we'll take one game at a time. I believe it's Green Bay right now, and we'll settle our sights on them, and really good football team, so I'm not really worried about anything else other than that.
The NFC playoff picture was finalized on Sunday Night Football when the Lions beat the Vikings 31-9. Detroit, now the number 1 seed, get the bye home field advantage throughout. The Vikings falling to the 5th seed. Elsewhere in Philadelphia sports, the Flyers fell 3-2 in overtime to the Toronto Maple Leafs yesterday. 2 sides will match up again Tuesday at Wells Fargo Center. 76ers back at home tonight against the Phoenix Suns. You can hear the game right here, 7 o'clock on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update's brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Need more data so you can stream your jam mix on loop? Switch to Straight Talk and get unlimited data on a reliable 5G network. Straight Talk available at Walmart or StraightTalk.com. I'm Ray Dunn on the home of the 76ers and the Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
7-5 the Fanatic. You can get in 610-622-0975. For my money, we haven't had enough Tanner McKee praise. So I'd like to get back to that.
So much good.
These. It's really funny. We have such an interest in like national media stories. First of all, I can tell you that newsrooms in general are kind of an incestuous place.
Yeah.
And now, like, HR has gotten a hold of it a lot more than it used to. So, hopefully it's curtailed that. But the salacious elements in this story about Fox Sports and Skip Bayless is just mind-boggling. According to now, her name is her last name is Faraji, and English is their second language apparently. So, Bayless, according to these allegations, spent years making sexual advancements towards her. It included, quote, lingering hugs and kisses on the cheek while putting his body against hers and pressing against her breasts during the normal course of Bayless hairstyling. So she would style their hair, I guess.
I guess.
They had their own hairstylist in there.
I mean, we have that here, too.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, sure.
We can't even get coffee.
Yeah. At one point during a haircut, Bayless referred to Faraji as, quote, voluptuous. With English being her second language, Faraji was not familiar with the term. Per the filing, quote, Mr. Bayless seemed amused and told her to, quote, figure it out. Ms. Faraji later asked a coworker what the word meant and was mortified. Mr. Bayless then started being more aggressive and direct in his advances. Ms. Faraji continually declined, saying she did not date at work as she is a single mom and needed her job.
So when did he offer her the 1.5?
Well, then she had some health problems, and she tried to tell him, have a little respect. I'm having all these health problems. Please stop these advances that you're making with me. Mr. Bayless then told Ms. Faraji that he fantasized about having sex with her and asked how much money it would take for her to have sex with him. Ms. Faraji stated she already refused his $1.5 million, and her answer wasn't going to change. Bayless says, the more you say no, the more I want you.
There's a lot of details.
This is just ridiculous.
And then Joy Taylor's involved because why?
She mentions Joy Taylor that the climate that was going on there. So, but she goes on to say, this is incredible. Approximately 1 week later, Mr. Bayless made another advance at Ms. Faraji. Ms. Faraji responded, Skip, stop, you have a wife. Mr. Bayless responded, aren't you Muslim? Doesn't your dad have 3 to 4 wives?
Man, this is a lot of information from this guy.
Man.
If this is true. Again, this is just a lawsuit.
I don't know how
she
can make up that kind of detail.
Yeah, but if this is true, Skip Bayless, man. Jeez. Yeah, man. But the thing is how old is Skip Bayless? Is older, isn't he? Let me see. How old is this guy?
He's 60-something.
73.
Oh, he's 73?
Now, I don't know. Maybe you do. But, I mean, have we ever heard anything like this about Skip Bayless? He's been in the industry a long time.
No, he's always kind of been a slimy creep, to be honest.
He comes off that way.
Yeah. I had a storied conflict with him on the radio way back in the day.
Wait, is that Google Me? Is that where that came from?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly where that came from.
Google me.
There it is.
Yeah,
that was with Skip.
So how Taylor gets involved is that Taylor asked Faraji to meet for a drink. And when she arrived, she found Ms. Taylor with an older man, the executive vice president of content, Mr. Dixon. And then from their body language, Faraji says she suspected the pair were sleeping with each other. And she knew Ms. Taylor was recently married. And Mr. Faraji kept her opinions to herself. So that's how she brings Taylor into the situation to describe the climate of what was going on. Now, she's with Joy Taylor is with somebody right now. Like, she divorced that guy that she's talking about in this, but she's with Earl Watson, I think, an ex-NBA basketball player who's now a coach in the league, I think.
Oh, I'm Googling Joy Taylor. I didn't know that her brother was Jason Taylor.
Yeah, Jason Taylor's her brother.
I did not know that.
Yeah. All right.
I didn't know any of this
Let's
stuff.
get back to the phones. We got Aaron in West Philly. Aaron, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Aaron.
Yeah, what's going on, fellas?
What's going on, Aaron?
See, now I got to get back, man. I was on hold so long. Bill, didn't you say that this backup quarterback can win a playoff game? Did you say that?
I said if you needed him to come in for God forbid a half. I compared it to what happened with the Kansas City Chiefs a few years ago when Chad Henne came in after Mahomes went down. He played like a half of football, and they were still able to win the game. That's what I said. I don't think that this team would go to a Super Bowl and win it with Tanner McKee as your quarterback. You still need Jalen Hurts.
Okay, so I think you're smoking something.
Yes.
Because
He is
they would
smoking
throw all kinds of blitzes on this boy. He wouldn't even know what to do. This is playoff NFL football. They're not going to sit back and just let him throw like he was doing against the weak behind Giants. So that's
Aaron, I am so glad you called. You get it. You get it, Aaron. I needed some support. Where have you been?
I've been waiting for 2 hours.
This is a big boys league. This kid has played one game against a crap team playing their backups, and all of a sudden he can win a playoff game. It's ridiculous.
And why would Jalen Hurts be rusty? Didn't he come in I don't know, it was last season, 2 seasons ago. He's out for 2 games. We had to win that last game, and he won it for us.
Correct.
To get a higher seed. So he know how to play when he's out. So I'm not worried about that. And let me get to this why we so much love the underdog. Because we got a damn Rocky statue down there, which should be Joe Frazier, somebody that really fought. You should have gave Allen Iverson a bigger statue than one the size of my damn grandson. And we like to play the little role and be underdogs.
We do, to the point where it's ridiculous.
Where has it gotten us, Mike? Like we basket in
I always say, we don't appreciate real talent, but we try to make the under-talented somehow our favorite. It is so and I throw up my hands because I've tried to change that perspective. It's why we think that T.J. McConnell is Allen Iverson.
Yeah, I was about to
it's the same mentality. It's like why we think Gardner Minshew is Brett Favre. It's like I've never seen anything like it.
I don't get it. I know Foles won a Super Bowl. Thank God he did. I think we sold our souls to a certain extent to get that Super Bowl. But come on, he's not like the greatest thing that we ever saw play the quarterback position in Philadelphia. Come on.
Listen, man. I try to bring the reality of it based on all the things that I've seen in the many years I've been doing this. It is so typical of us to overvalue a temp. I remember I can go way back to when Ruben Amaro played 3 weeks for the Phillies in place of Lenny Dykstra and got on a hot streak. And I had to take calls about how we needed to trade Lenny because Ruben Amaro could be the starting center fielder. And I go, people, temp is not, and you can go back and you can find something almost every year where this kind of thing happens. We don't appreciate true talent, but we fall for the temp.
And I would agree with you to the people who are overreacting, saying things like Tanner McKee should start and all that. But the day after you just saw the guy make his first start, I'm just trying to acknowledge that he impressed me. I know it was against the Giants, but it was a very impressive performance from a guy who's your third-string quarterback making his first ever NFL start. That was the point. Not an overreaction, not calling for the backup quarterback because the backup's always everybody's favorite player on a football team most of the time. Jalen Hurts is head and shoulders better than the other 2 quarterbacks on this roster. But you could still acknowledge, good job, Tanner. Just say it. Good job, Tanner. Let me hear it, Mike. He won't do it, Ray.
Listen, I don't think it was that difficult to do what he did yesterday. I really don't. You're talking about a team that just didn't even want to be there that he's playing against. Like, okay, the numbers. You look at the numbers. All right, okay, but what does it mean? It meant zero to me. Now, maybe because that's me and I'm weird, but I got to be honest with you. It meant zero to me what he did in that game, and it would have meant zero if anybody else had done that. Not just Tanner McKee. It's not like I have a personal grudge against Tanner McKee. It's just like it's irrelevant in my world.
Just repeat after me. Good job, Tanner. Let me hear it. But listen, on the other side, I got very big news about this Eagles-Packers game that just got tweeted out by Ian Rappaport.
Okay. 610-632-0975. Let me ask you, is it Rappaport or is it Rappaport?
I don't know. Rappaport or Rappaport?
I think it's Rappaport. I think that coach who dimed him out in that thing put I have never heard Rappaport.
I've always called him Ian Rappaport.
Because you heard that coach call him Ian Rappaport.
All right, I'll tell you what he tweeted after this.
All right, Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Not only can you listen to The Fanatic, but you can also watch.
Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. Some lines are open if you want to call in at 610-622-0975. I don't know how to take this. The matchup now is all set. And I don't know. I think people are holding back. Are they nervous about this game?
I don't think they're nervous. Maybe they're too confident. Maybe
it's either nervousness or it's overconfident.
It may be overconfident. And this news from Ian Rappaport, is that the correct way to pronounce his name?
I don't know. I never heard it Rappaport until that coach told that story about how he fleeced them.
Oh.
You remember?
Well, Rap Sheet. How about that?
Yeah. Okay.
This tweet came out.
Worse.
Yeah, this tweet came out a couple minutes ago. Sources: Packers standout wide receiver Christian Watson is believed to have torn his ACL and suffered additional damage, ending his season and putting the beginning of 2025 in jeopardy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he got carted off.
Yeah, it looked bad.
Oh, yeah, you knew that wasn't good. So how does it impact the Packers? It impacts them a little bit. What is the current line on this game now? Is it up to 5?
I still had it at 4.5, but let me see. I'm going to refresh my FanDuel app. It is still 4.5 on FanDuel. And I'm going to just look at what this does. Christian Watson this year, I mean, he's been a little bit banged up, but you look at what he's done for that team. He does stretch the field for them. So far on the season, he had only 29 catches, but 620 yards, average yards per reception of 21.4. That's 6 yards higher than their next receiver. So that's a big loss for that team.
All right, let's get the text board because my McKee people are coming back in on the text board.
Yeah, we got a texter checking in. I agree with Mike. McKee would be a nice second-string quarterback, but nothing more important. Don't know why we are so obsessed with the backups. It happens in every sport. B-ball Paul. And then the texter wanted to also let me know that he agrees that Bill's right. The Lions are overrated. We'll mop them easily. Wow, that's a
you're not mopping.
wild.
You're not mopping the Lions. But it's not the backup per se. It's the I don't know what it is. It's the temp thing. Like there have been a ton of people have had temporary success with Philadelphia sports teams, with Philadelphia professional teams, but it never lasts. Like
no.
and so I'm been conditioned to say, yeah, okay, that was an okay game. Now show me what your real talent is, because I'm just not going to say you have real talent by seeing you temporarily. You know, that's all. That's all what I do.
No, I understand it. I understand it. It's just I was impressed from a guy who was making his first start, and he's not even your backup. He was your third string. So I thought what he did yesterday was impressive. But
well, I'll tell you what. I hope. I think Jahan Dotson could be a weapon against Notre Dame if he's got all of a sudden he shows up. Penn State could really use him in this game on Thursday.
Yeah, he looked good.
He left early. He's got a year of eligibility left.
7 catches, 94 yards.
All of a sudden he shows up in that game. Like, what's that about?
Yeah, he went 7 for 94.
But he felt more confident that he was the main guy.
Well, he's probably getting more targets too.
Yeah, but is he running different patterns? He was open. Was he more engaged? Like, where did that come from all of a sudden?
Yeah, that's what people thought the Eagles were getting when they made the trade for him before the season started. But all right, let me ask you something, though, because I looked at these odds. So we know the Eagles are 4.5-point favorites over the Packers. But looking at the 7 teams in the NFC, where do you think they're ranked in order of where the odds are for them to get to the Super Bowl? Who do you think's number 1? Best odds to get to the Super Bowl?
Chiefs.
No, I'm talking about from the NFC only.
Oh, from the NFC only? Best odds to get to the Super Bowl? Lions.
Correct.
Huh?
They're at a plus 135.
Okay.
Who do you put at number 2?
Number 2, I would put the Eagles.
Correct.
Okay.
It's a little surprising, though. Plus 320. So they got the Lions at plus 135. Eagles at plus 320.
Significant favorite, the Lions are.
Correct. Significant.
Yeah, well, they're going to host the game. I mean, that goes without saying. They're tough at home.
And then there's a big drop-off to the 3rd best odds to get out of the NFC. Who would be your guess in that scenario?
The 3rd? I'll go chalk. Is it chalk? Is it Vikings?
It is the Vikings.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's the chalk pick.
At plus 650.
Uh-huh. The fourth is the interesting one.
The fourth is the interesting one.
Would that be Tampa Bay or the Commanders?
Neither.
Oh, you telling me to be the Rams?
No.
What? Who?
The Green Bay Packers.
Oh, the Packers. Oh,
so that's where
I already dismissed them.
Exactly.
In my head.
But that's where it kind of comes around, which is our Eagles fans being a little bit too confident because we're all saying, the Eagles should have no problem. They got the fourth best odds. They're giving the Packers the fourth best odds to get to the Super Bowl.
The Packers are formidable, not in this situation. Not the way they are, limping in a little bit. The line is indicating to me that the Eagles will have no problem with this.
Yeah, they don't even give the Vegas, according to FanDuel, they're not giving the Commanders any chance. The Commanders have the worst odds in the NFC at plus 1,600. The Rams at plus 1,300. The Bucks at plus 1,200. And then you got Packers plus 750, Vikings plus 650, Eagles plus 320, and Lions with the best odds plus 135. So they no respect for the Bucks, Rams, or Commanders at all. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, are fans overly confident against this Packers team, Mike?
I don't know. It's either I think they are a little bit actually. All right, let's go back to the text board. Bill's Campbell decision talk, which is, he's been all year long. It seemingly has not hurt the Lions at any level this year, but Bill is still worried about it. So let's go back to the text board.
Well, they lost to the Bills because of it, but go ahead, Ray.
John from Levittown was not, satisfied with your answer to his first text. He wanted to check in again. Does Bill realize that what Bill's dumb comment about throwing the ball on 4th and inches was also a smart move because he is setting things up for the playoffs so teams do not know they're just going to do the tush-push? Plus, the time he did it on 4th and goal was probably to set up teams since he knows he always goes for it, to fake and then draw them off sides. He probably was not going to go for it and was going to kick it if they did not draw them off sides. Dan is thinking outside the box. That is why Bill does not comprehend his thinking. Thanks for reading the first message. You guys are great. So after calling you an idiot for about 5 sentences, he wants to let you know you're great.
He may be talking to you and Mike.
I don't get carried away in demeanor. Like all those years of Bill Belichick, I thought he was a miserable, creep. But I don't get caught up in demeanor to evaluate a coach. I evaluate a coach. Whatever his methodology is, if it's working, I go, okay, well, for that particular situation, it seems to be working. If he wants to be a macho, tough guy, either his team can respond to that or not. They have responded to it. Now, will it get old? It probably will. But right now, I don't know how you could look at the way he handles his team and criticize him for being overly macho or overly daring or whatever. Whatever he's doing with that team, he has built a really good contending team.
All right, and we'll see if it translates to the playoffs.
All right.
The guy's got he's got 2 playoff wins in his life.
610-632-0975. Okay, I'm getting besieged with texts from people and tweets about tell a story about unwanted kiss because you worked with him for 3 years. Tell me a story that would indicate how you feel about him. And I may in the 1 o'clock hour.
I'll pay attention.
You'll pay attention to the story? All right. Mike Missanelli Show continues on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Wrapping it up with a win. I'm Ray Dunn with this Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles won their 14th game of the season in their regular season finale as their backups beat the Giants 22-13. Tanner McKee tossed for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win. Eagles now set up for a matchup with the Green Bay Packers on Sunday at 4:30 at Lincoln Financial Field. Nick Sirianni spoke post-game about the matchup for the wild card round.
That's the playoffs. A lot of good teams here, and we'll take one game at a time. I believe it's Green Bay right now, and we'll settle our sights on them, and really good football team, so I'm not really worried about anything else other than that.
Looking elsewhere in the NFC playoff picture, the Lions won 31-9 over the Vikings, giving Detroit the top seed, dropped the Vikings to the 5th seed, so this all goes through Detroit in the NFC this season. Elsewhere in Philadelphia sports, Flyers fell 3-2 in overtime to the Toronto Maple Leafs. 2 sides match up again Tuesday at Wells Fargo Center. 76ers back at the Wells Fargo Center tonight against the Phoenix Suns. You can hear the game right here at 7 o'clock on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update is brought to you by Cordell & Cordell. A domestic litigation firm is a partner that you can count on. Call 866-323-7529 or visit CordellCordell.com. I'm Ray Dunn, the home of the 76ers and the Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com.
Young Ray Dunn. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5 The
12:55, Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5, The Fanatic, Eagles and Packers. And if you go down, you can make your own predictions on who they're going to play in the second round. The Eagles with 2 home games at Lincoln Financial Field. I don't really think the opponent is that worrisome. So this is all heading to where we all thought it would head to. A game against the Detroit Lions in Detroit, indoors, for the NFC title. That's the way I see it. Now, it is interesting. If anything falls short of that, we haven't discussed that possibility. Now, I don't think they're going to lose to the Packers. But if they lose to the Packers, what effect would that have on the fan base? After this successful season and all they've done and all the praise this head coach has gotten, what would that actually do, Bill?
Well, I mean, the fan base would be upset, rightfully so, with the expectations being as high as they are right now. But I don't think it should change Nick Sirianni's job security going forward. However, interestingly enough, and we didn't talk about it much last week, there was an article published by ESPN, I think on Thursday. Jeremy Fowler, Dan Graziano, who said that would a first-round exit reignite talks about Nick Sirianni's job status. So they're already putting it out there.
No,
ESPN's
it would definitely
putting it out
reignite
there.
it. With this fan base, it would reignite it. Now, I agree with you that the Eagles wouldn't make a move that way, but it would be hell to pay.
There would be, but if you remember correctly, and you and I had this debate going back weeks ago, before they went on their 10-game winning streak, as, well, what would Sirianni have to do to come back? Now, your opinion's changed a little bit because of how good things got. 10 straight wins, 14-3 season. But you and a lot of people were saying he has to at least get to an NFC championship game. Like, you can't win. And I think the exact scenario I gave you was they win the NFC East, they're not a 1 seed, and they lose in the wild card. And a lot of people then said, well, he's gone. He's got to win a playoff game.
You're right. That's why I'm putting it out now, because I want to know how people feel about that, whether you would actually think he would have to be gone. I think the majority of people would be devastated, but considering what this team has done under him this year, I don't think would advocate firing him.
No,
but there would be a lot of hot action in this city if they lost game 1.
There would be. And I think the reason why maybe some people's analysis was different going back 10 weeks ago was you're thinking, all right, maybe they limp into the playoffs at 10-7 and then they lose. Can we justify bringing them back? But this has been a pretty special regular season. There's been a lot of things that happened this regular season where, yes, if they lose in the playoffs, major disappointment. But you can't look back at the regular season and not acknowledge it was a special season, and it does start at the top with the head coach. Whether you like them in press conferences or not, they've done a lot of good things.
They should not lose a playoff game against this competition that they'll face at home. They just should not.
No, really the next 2 games.
Yes, the next 2 games. They'll have 2 games at home. They should not lose either one of them. If they lose one of them, there's going to be hell to pay in this town. There's going to be a lot of people. And this is knee-jerk reaction, but there'll be so many people who advocate that they should fire Sirianni.
Yeah, the people who are just lying in wait who've never really jumped on board with the guy.
No, I think even if you've jumped on board, like I've jumped on board, and if you lose these 2 games, you're a better team. You can't lose to an inferior opponent, and that has to lay down on the head coach.
I don't want to speak this into existence, but I want to see where your headspace is on this. What if they got blown out by the Packers? I mean, like the team just looks lost in that first.
No, then game. I would have to really take it. I don't think that's possible.
It's not going to happen.
No, I don't think it's possible.
But I think that would be the only chance where you could maybe even see the justification of people's opinion being that way.
All right. It is 1:00 in the Delaware Valley. You are listening to WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. We're broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Well, we looked at football. I watched. I got to be honest with you. I don't know. This might be a violation. I watched more of the Golden Globes last night than I did the Lions-Vikings game.
Would you watch instead of the Vikings?
The Golden Globes.
I will say I didn't watch it live, but I saw our girl,
Our girl, Nikki Glazer, who we are, she's gotten bigger than life.
Yeah, she's very
since
big.
I've had her on this show.
Well, she just hosted the Golden Globes.
Exactly. So we're still hoping to make that happen where she comes on the show because she's got a gig coming up in Atlantic City, I believe, in February.
Correct. But I watched her 9-minute monologue to start, and it was hilarious.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
And, I was reading a lot about her preparation for that. She brought in all kinds of consultants. They went over 90 different monologues and filtered out some jokes and added some other jokes. She was really well prepared.
She crushed it.
Yeah,
the delivery was good. The jokes were good. It was very good.
She had a tremendous wardrobe of dresses. She wore 10 dresses.
I only saw I only watched the 9-minute monologue on Twitter.
I like those award shows. I don't know why, but I like them. I like to see the expressions on the star's face when they get insulted. I like all that dynamic.
Yeah.
I like who talks to whom, who might not talk to. It's the People magazine angle of me.
Yeah, people are not happy with you on YouTube though.
What, for watching the Golden Globes over the game?
Yeah. Colby says you should be suspended from Sports Talk for admitting that you watched the Golden Globes over the Lions-Vikings.
Yeah, let me go into. I also had a really difficult time watching the Eagles game. It was boring as hell. I want to get into this.
I saw your tweet.
Did you see this exchange the guy did with me?
No, I did not.
Let me see if I can find this exchange here. So I tweeted out watching the game. Now, people know my sarcasm. At least I hope they know my sarcasm, right? But some people apparently don't get my sarcasm. So let's see. Let me see if I can find this here. Oh, yeah, here it is. Taking suggestions on topics for Football Monday. This is in the middle of the Eagles game. And I put the Snore Z's icon there next to it, right?
Gotcha. I thought you were talking about your other tweet where you said, is it a violation to watch a movie right now?
Well, yeah, that was right. So anyway, I said taking suggestions on topics for Football Monday, thinking there's nothing we can talk about with this football game here.
Yeah.
And I also said, can I watch it? Is it a violation to watch a movie? So a guy replies to me. His name is Bill Kornfeld. And he replies, my favorite thing is when, quote unquote, professional radio or podcast hosts have to ask their Twitter audience for topics. Hashtag lazy radio. Now, you mean to tell me that guy did not get my sarcasm?
Yeah, and be honest, Mike, how long you been doing this? Over 30 years that you would need suggestions?
Yeah. So I reply to him, dude, it's a joke. Jag off.
Lazy radio.
So I go, in other words, because this game is so boring, do you get it now? I mean, come on.
Bless you.
I sneezed.
Just the thought of that person made him feel sick in there.
Made him sick to his stomach. But, he's going on this.
See, he really has got
going
to
on a
think
spell
about
here.
this.
I got a sneeze fit. What's the text line suggestion that we have?
Text line suggestion for your guys' big coffee problem. Bill should go during around the NFL to go get the coffee so he doesn't have to pretend like he's listening.
Yeah, Bill.
It's a good idea.
Time around the NFL, get his coffee.
That's a good idea.
It's not bad.
Either then or at the news at noon, Ray.
Oh, appreciate that. Thank you. You can always tell. You don't hide it very well. So
Yeah, I thought he was actually listening to me.
No,
I can't tell when he's listening or not.
From my vantage point, it's very obvious.
Would also help, Ray? Sometimes a chuckle from a co-host.
Yeah.
I'm going through with you. If I say something funny, it would be, I'd like to hear a guffaw from the other side that my partner thought was funny. It gives me a little boost, mental boost for a little chuckle. Like that was a funny line.
Also,
Bill, I get nothing from Bill.
The laugh track in a sitcom.
Yeah,
encourages more laughter.
Exactly right. I have not gotten a guffaw, a chuckle, a laugh from Bill ever on this show.
Because I'm authentic. And when we cross the imaginary bridge of you saying
your
something
head
funny.
is buried in a damn YouTube chat.
Great YouTube audience today, too.
Oh, good. Mickey in Atlantic City. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Mickey.
Good afternoon, boys. Mark, are you sure that he even knows what a guffaw is?
You know, he does. You know why he does? Because of Brian Prop.
These curveballs at him.
Yeah, it's Brian.
I'm not impressed by the vernacular of this talk show. Is not very impressive. All that being said, Mike, I got to call you out. I've been listening to you since the Steve Frederick days, and I think the comparison that you tend to skate with our boy up in Detroit, Mr. Sirianni, is you got to be called out. It's a results-driven league, right?
Yeah.
So Dan Campbell has taken this approach, the tough guy, the this and the that, and he's got results, correct?
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni has been called a goof, a this and a that, and sometimes I'm not totally disagreeing with you, but don't they have similar results?
Well, one's the number 1 seed.
Yeah, and the other one's the number 2.
Yeah.
So you're being a little.
I'm not criticizing Sirianni at all. I'm saying that I don't know how good a coach Campbell is.
What was the first 8 weeks of this season all about?
Well, what did I say coming into it? Wait a minute.
Come on, brother.
Mickey, hold on. Let me talk. What, Bill? Tell him exactly what I said about Sirianni. I came into the year saying what? I wouldn't have brought him back. However, now that he's back, my eyes will study how he does, and he's done a great job. Like, what are you hearing, Mickey?
Well, it just seems a little contradictory that you're.
What's contradictory?
Sirianni got them there too.
What have I said about Sirianni getting him there? I've had nothing but praise for Sirianni getting him there. What are you hearing?
Just the being called a goof.
I call him a goof early in the season, but I also said that I will be paying attention with my own eyes.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Oh, I don't know what that has to do with Campbell. My only thing with Bill is he's reluctant to give the guy credit because he dislikes him. I don't do that kind of thing. I don't care if I dislike a coach. I look at results and I go, he must be doing something right. 610-632-0975. Back after this.
The Philadelphia Eagles are in the NFL playoffs.
And Packers, and we'll be talking about it all week, get into the X and O's. Packers got to come here. It was either going to be the Commanders or the Packers. It turned out it was going to be the Packers. I wanted to see, I would have rather seen the Commanders, frankly. I think the Commanders were going to be able to come in here with a young quarterback and win a playoff game here. The Packers have a more seasoned quarterback. They have a little more experience. But I still, what is the current line? Can we get the current line here?
I'm still getting 4.5 on the FanDuel
4.5.
But I believe on other apps it may be as high as 5.5.
See, that's just so telling to me. It really is. So I have that line comforts me for the whole week.
But to your point about how you would have rather the Commanders come here, I would assume if the Commanders are a 3.5-point dog in Tampa, that they would have probably been like 6.5 here. I mean, when Vegas is giving the Commanders the worst odds in the entire NFC to get to a Super Bowl, I think the Eagles would have been favored by a lot more against Washington than they are against the Packers. Not saying they're going to lose to the Packers, but I would have preferred the Commanders. Just think that would have been an easier game.
All right. But so what would the line have been if it was the Commanders?
I think we would have been in the 6s.
Yeah?
I could have seen like a 6.5-point spread where the Eagles are favored. Because if the Bucks are 3.5 over Washington, the Eagles are a better team than the Bucks.
Yeah. All right, let's can we look at the AFC playoffs and see how you predict there? Carson Wentz is such a Ben Simmons, isn't he?
Man,
like
he
they're I think they share the same DNA.
He looked bad, man.
He stinks.
Well, who would have thought, Mike, within a 24-hour period, Carson Wentz would play terribly and Doug Peterson would get fired? If I would have told you that February 2018, that Carson Wentz would be a backup quarterback playing a meaningless game for the Chiefs and throw for 90 yards and Doug Peterson would be fired as a coach of the Jags. I mean, what a crazy 8 years it's been, or 7 years since February of 2018.
All right, let's look at the AFC. You got your Los Angeles Chargers. Man, they're so up and I can't tell if they're any good or not. Against the Houston Texans, I can't tell if they're any good either. The 5 and 4 seed gets to play Kansas City. The survivor does. So who do you like in that?
I don't know why the Texans haven't built off of what they did last year. I would have expected more from them this season with how good they were last year. But there's something about that Chargers team, man. I think I'm taking the Chargers. Huh? I think they go into Houston and win that game.
Two mediocre teams, and they get to play the Chiefs. So the Pittsburgh Steelers reeling, and now they have to face Baltimore again. I don't see things working out for the Steelers in this one.
Nah, Steelers are going to get crushed. Did you see the line in that game?
What is it? Is it double digit?
Close. It's 9.5.
Is it really? Wow. All right, the Denver Broncos sneak into the playoffs as the 7th seed, and they get the right to get bashed in Buffalo.
Yeah, they're 8.5 dogs.
So you got Buffalo against the Ravens, Kansas City against the Chargers or the Texans. You got KC moving on, I assume. But who wins the Buffalo-Ravens game? Wow.
I keep saying it. I think this is the year. I think this is the year that Josh Allen gets the demons exercised, and he beats the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, and you see the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl.
So your predictable Final Four in the AFC, Buffalo, Kansas City in Kansas City, Eagles in Detroit against the Lions.
Now, the only problem with that is those are all the 1 and 2 versus the 1 and 2.
They are.
Very rarely works out.
Normally there's an upset that's thrown in there. But, yeah, listen, I can see the Rams getting in there and there's an upset. You think the Rams can actually beat the Lions? I can't see that. I don't think anybody can beat the Eagles or the Lions. Who's capable of pulling that kind of an upset? Tampa Bay, you think? Tampa Bay?
Not on the road. For the Bucs to have to go on the road and do it, they haven't been that great. Now, you're right. I think it's Lions-Eagles is very, very, very likely. Who maybe the Rams can upset somebody, like I said, especially going indoors to Detroit. There's a chance with how banged up the Lions defense has been that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford are able to take advantage
How
of.
about Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit and winning? You like that angle?
Yeah, didn't they do that last year? Was that the wild card game last year?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the text board. We've got a text on Hurts, a text on Sirianni. What are the people thinking, Ray?
Sirianni better win something this year because he's not winning 13 or 14 games next year with next year's road schedule. Someone's already ready to fire him for next year's performance.
Yeah, the schedule's out. Or not the schedule, but all the opponents are now known. So next year, Mike, they got to go on the road, obviously, to the 3 other NFC East opponents. They're also on the road at Green Bay, at Kansas City, at the Chargers, at the Vikings, at the Bills, and at the Bucks. So they have on the road next year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 playoff teams. Not an easy schedule.
We'll get to that bridge.
Well, yeah, we'll cross
it when we come to it. All right, what are we talking about, Jalen Hurts? There's this mystery whether he's going to have rust, whether he's still in a concussion situation. That's a legitimate concern. What are the texts saying?
Watching QBs like Goff, Jackson, Love, Mayfield play this weekend, they all look like they see the field better than Hurts. We are in trouble if he sticks to his slow starts, bad reads, and short runs, taking too many hits. Bob from Jersey.
I'm not worried about Hurts. I'm not. And I don't think they pushed to get him through because I was talking to Dr. Radcliffe yesterday about the concussion protocol and everything. For him to actually clear the protocol, he would have had to have done certain things that maybe they didn't have him do these certain activities because they knew he wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be fine. I will worry if it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and he still hasn't cleared, and now we're trying to rush him, and maybe he takes another hit. I think it's going to be just fine.
Not one mention today about Penn State, Notre Dame. Ray, you thought that would be a percolating topic this week for people.
Well, I mean, the people haven't fought each other yet. We got a couple days.
Yeah, it'll get there.
This is an Eagles Monday here.
I got you. 610-632-0975. Penn State is an underdog against Notre Dame. Wow. We're back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Wrapping it up with the win. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. The Eagles won their 14th game of the season as the regular season came to an end, where their backups beat the Giants 22-13. Tanner McKee tossed for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns to the win. The Eagles now set up for a matchup with the Green Bay Packers on Sunday at 4:30 at Lincoln Financial Field. Nick Sirianni spoke postgame about the matchup.
That's the playoffs. A lot of good teams here, and we'll take one game at a time. I believe it's Green Bay right now, and we'll settle our sights on them, and really good football team, so I'm not really worried about anything else other than that.
The NFC playoff picture was completed with a Lions 31-9 victory over the Vikings last night on Sunday Night Football, which gave Detroit the top seed in the NFC, and the Vikings got the 5th seed in the NFC. Elsewhere in Philadelphia sports, Flyers fell 3-2 in overtime to the Toronto Maple Leafs yesterday, and two sides matchup again Tuesday at Wells Fargo Center. Speaking of Wells Fargo Center, 76ers back at home tonight against the Phoenix Suns. You can hear the game right here at 7 o'clock on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update is also brought to you by Cordell & Cordell, a domestic litigation firm, is the partner you can count on. Call 866-323-7529 or visit CordellCordell.com. I'm Ray Dunn, the home of the 76ers and the Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Been holding court.
It is all settled. All the conjecture and all this speculation on who the Eagles were going to play was decided yesterday. The playoff matches are all set up, and the Eagles will be hosting the Green Bay Packers. And we should inform you that you should feel pretty good about that right now, because the line that started out at 3.5 is now in some places up to 5.5, indicating that the sharp money has come in and really likes the Eagles in this game.
Mike and Bill have been pleading their cases.
I know both of you guys were a little scared of facing the Green Bay Packers. It is a revenge situation, although long time ago and in another country. But you were afraid because of this quarterback. Did the Eagles get the more favorable match here?
The more favorable matchup, I don't think it's a more favorable matchup than the Commanders, but I'm not scared of the Packers because you're right. I watched that game yesterday against the Chicago Bears. We saw them last week against the Minnesota Vikings. They don't look like they're firing on all cylinders. When you talk about hitting your stride at the right time, I don't think the Packers are. They are banged up. We'll see what happens with Jordan Love. But I went back. I was really looking at the last few games for the Green Bay Packers. You know, they haven't beaten a playoff team since week 7, and they've only beaten 2 teams all year that are even in the playoffs right now.
The Mike Missanelli Show Holding Court is brought to you by Grunko Law, your law firm when you need help because of an injury. We treat every case like it's Dallas Week. Pray for peace, prepare for trial. Now back to Mike Missanelli on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All righty, it is 1:27 on the Mike Missanelli Show as we get ready for the NFL playoffs finally here. The Eagles look like they're in pretty good shape. They didn't get the bye. Detroit got the bye. I think the Lions are still slight favorite to go to the Super Bowl over the Eagles. We are speculating that if it does get that far and the Eagles have to go to Detroit to win an NFC title game, they will not be the favorite. But I think the line will be around 2.5, which is a line that says that's a fighting chance for the Eagles to win.
Yeah, and we've had some people angry at us that we're even talking about the NFC Championship game.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, you got to
listen.
Packers game.
We can't avoid it. We're taking this season to where a lot of people expect it to go. We've also discussed the fact that how if they lost this first-round game to Green Bay, which I don't think they will, it would be total devastation. And how would fans react to that?
Yeah, it would be devastation. And I was thinking about this last night because with the win, the Eagles improved to 14-3. I remember doing our W's and L's when the schedule came out, and I had the Eagles at 13-4. And I was called, "You're such a homer. How this team's not winning 13 games." I don't think there's anybody that could have predicted that this Philadelphia Eagles team would have gone 14-3 this season in light of the schedule, in light of all of the controversy about whether you brought Sirianni back, 2 new coordinators, the travel. I mean, we got to look back, though, Mike, before we look forward to the NFC Championship game. This has been a really impressive regular season. Like, a really impressive regular season.
Yeah, totally. Like I said, I did call him a goof in the third game of the year. He was a goof.
He was.
And
he made some bad decisions.
And then somebody talked to him, and he became a professional coach.
He has
so
changed,
that's all part of my evaluation of Nick Sirianni as we go into the playoffs. Now, if they lose game 1, he's not going to get fired. But there's going to be a lot of people that are going to blame him for not having that team ready at home to win that game.
Yeah, I don't see it happening, but you're not wrong, as I like to say.
You're not wrong.
You are not wrong. Look, there's a lot of similarities when you look at the Packers last season. You know, no one expected them to go into Dallas. Dallas was unbelievable at home last year, even though they're the Cowboys and the Cowboys cowboy when the playoffs come. But they were unbelievable at home, and the Packers went in there and dominated that game. You didn't see that coming. And there's probably going to be, as we're predicting our Final Four like we did earlier, we had the 1 and the 2 seed in both conferences. Probably not the way it usually plays out. There's going to be an upset along the way that you don't expect. You just hope it's not here in Philadelphia.
All right. Before the break, I mentioned Penn State Notre Dame, and not that this has anything to do with anything that we're talking about today, but I just want to run this by you because you asked me, are you going?
Yeah.
And so there are all kinds of packages that would get you down to the Capital One Orange Bowl where they're going to play Notre Dame. Now, it's going to be a pretty exciting game, but I just want to run a couple things by you because I get this information emailed to me from the Penn State Alumni Association, and they have all these trips that they arrange to go down there. So let me just read what you get, and then you tell me whether the price is worth it.
Okay.
All right, it's a 2-night air-inclusive stay at the Fontainebleau,
nice place.
High luxury hotel in Miami. I've stayed there before. It's absolutely
very
beautiful.
nice. Yeah,
and they have a tremendous lobby bar where there's a lot of activity.
Wait, how many nights?
2-night air-inclusive Fontainebleau. So it's a round trip, nonstop Southwest charter air transportation from Harrisburg to Miami/Fort Lauderdale. Includes catered meal and beverage service, open bar, and Wi-Fi. Round trip airport hotel transfers, baggage handling and porterage included. 2 nights accommodations at the Fontainebleau, Miami Beach. Light refreshments upon hotel arrival. Orange Bowl tour welcome event. Round trip motor coach transportation to the Capital One Orange Bowl pep rally. Round trip game day transfers. Official PSU pregame tailgate. Official Penn State Sports Tours hospitality desk. Official Orange Bowl souvenir. Event lanyard and credential. Professional staff throughout the program. Taxes and gratuities included on all items. What was missing?
Tickets.
Yes. It doesn't include tickets to the game. So how much do you think this is? This package?
All right, well, another thing I noticed before I give you the price, why are you flying into Fort Lauderdale, not Miami? Because now you got to drive. It's like close to an hour from Fort Lauderdale to
it says Miami, Fort Lauderdale. I think the airport, the Fort Lauderdale airport, is actually serves. I think that's where Southwest flies into.
Yeah, they must not fly into Miami International.
Yeah.
All right. No tickets, 2 nights, all that stuff. I'm going to say this is for 2 people or 1?
Well, double occupancy, and then there's a single occupancy. They're various prices. So let's just say double occupancy. You're going down with your wife or your girlfriend or your buddy, whatever it is.
Double occupancy, I'm going to put it at $3,500.
You are right in the ballpark. $32.99.
Wow.
Single is $38.49. A triple, if you want to put 3 dudes in there, $3,100. A quad, $3,079 if you want to stuff everybody in there. And a child, $24.59 if you're taking a child. But there's a maximum of 3 children that can be in the room.
Wait. The $3,200's per person?
$3,200 per person based on double occupancy.
No, then I was way off. I would love to get credit. I'm saying $3,200 total for you and your friend or your wife.
Well, maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it is. Double occupancy, $32.99. That's probably what it is.
Well, the reason I don't think that makes sense then is because you said for the quad is $3,000.
Yeah.
So it must be per person.
Oh, I don't know, but there's no tickets.
That's what I'm saying. $6,400 and you don't even get tickets.
How do you have a package with no tickets?
That doesn't make sense.
That's a violation, man.
Yeah, I don't get that.
That's a
at all.
violation.
Wait, where's the national championship game if they win?
I don't even know. Where's the national championship game, Ray? Come on now.
I didn't think we'd get this far.
Now you can drive down to Miami. 2-night land only Fontainebleau package starts at $1,829. You want to drive down there,
or you get your own tickets, your own airline ticket. You don't take the charter flight; you just get your own airline tickets, maybe.
No, that's the land package. Charter air only is $1,249 per person, just to get down there.
Atlanta, by the way, national championship.
That's Atlanta. Okay.
So yeah, because I was thinking, is it a nicer? I mean, it'd be nice to go down to Miami right now.
Oh, certainly would.
Stay at the Fontainebleau.
It's a great trip if you have tickets. Let's get to the phones. Greg in Bethlehem. Greg, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Greg?
Gentlemen, how we doing?
How are you? Good.
Good. I'm not expecting Hurts to come out of the chute at 100%, right away. How long do you think we should expect it to take them to get all the cylinders running?
I don't know. I mean, listen, I would start the game by relying on the running game and loosen them up a little bit, get them a slant to AJ. That's how I would proceed with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. What day this week is the deadline for coming off the protocol? Is there one?
It's a good question. I would think it would just be the first day they're on the practice field. We'll know.
So Wednesday.
Most likely. I'm going through the concussion protocol now as I'm trying to multitask, which we know I'm not good at.
Yeah, it'd be disappointing if he's not available.
Yeah, no, he's going to be available. I'm thinking about, like, would the Eagles try to overthink this and go, you know what? They're going to expect us to really be conservative with him early. Let's go for the downs. Play one. What do you think?
I mean, if you look at the Packers' defense.
What they would do with McNabb and T.O.
The Packers' defense is a lot better against the run than the pass. I mean, they're number 3 in yards per carry allowed at only 4, but yet they're giving up 215 yards a game. Still good, 13th in the NFL, but they're better against the run than they've been against the pass.
You want to climb in? We're coming down the home stretch of the program. 610-632-0975. It is the Mike Missanelli Show. Back after this.
Andrew DeCecco.
When you look at what the Eagles
41. Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5 at Fanatic. We went over the playoff matchups. I'm trying to figure out where the Eagles would have the toughest game. I think this would be the toughest game.
I agree.
The Green Bay Packers. And yet, they're a 4.5-point favorite in this game.
Yeah, you're saying the toughest game on the road to the NFC Championship.
Yes, the toughest game in the playoffs for them would be this one until they get to
the Lions.
The Lions.
Yeah, because any team that they could play in the second round would be either the Bucs, the Rams, or the Vikings. And I think the Packers are better than those three teams. Granted, the Vikings beat the Packers a couple weeks ago in Minnesota. I don't think the Vikings, I think they showed you last night, Sam Darnold, as good of a season as he's had, and I don't want to say he's still Sam Darnold because he's not, but he's not an elite quarterback. The Lions were able to do things to him last night. He was making bad throws. It looked like the moment was a little bit too big for Sam Darnold last night, and that wasn't even a playoff game. What's he going to be like in the playoffs?
They're done.
You think they lose to LA?
Minnesota got exposed. Do we have a line on that game?
Yeah. The Rams are dogs.
At home.
At home, but it's only a 1.5 point spread.
See, that is absolutely a Rams line.
Yeah.
That's the upset right there.
So if that's the upset, the Rams, well, you still wouldn't know because it would come down to Bucs Commanders on who the Eagles would get. Because if the Commanders beat the Bucs, then the Eagles would have the Rams.
What's the line on that game? Commanders Bucs.
That's down to 3 right now.
3.
The Bucs are favored by 3.
Bucs favored by 3, huh?
No home field advantage.
There is no.
You don't
home
like
field.
that home field advantage
No.
down there at Tampa Bay?
Ray was just there.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. You're talking about a game where you could clinch the division, and the tickets were $70. The mess of fans that were there, I did more jawing with Chiefs fans than I even talked to Bucs fans.
Well, they're in
They've had our number.
They're
Are you
in
kidding me? If I was
but
walking around,
it's not as serious for them.
I know
because
that's what I'm saying though. It's like
they go home and pick a lemon.
they played terrible in the first half. No boos. No one's booing. No one's into
Did
it.
they shoot that ship off still?
Oh yeah, no, they still
do.
have the cannon going. Don't worry.
It's a cool stadium. I've been down there.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool. That's a cool little walkway there where the ship is. Also, the Panthers-Falcons game's going on at the same time. Panthers are putting up numbers. Nobody's cheering when the scoreboard changes. It's just weird.
You're spoiled, man.
I am.
You come from this town.
That's what I realized. I was very, very off-put by the whole experience.
I've been to that stadium a couple times. Also been to the Miami stadium. I was able to get a cigar into the Miami stadium.
The Hard Rock?
Yeah. Hard Rock Stadium. Because we had a tailgate. It was a big tailgate. And so I lit a cigar at the tailgate, and it was still, 3/4. So I just walked in, and they took the ticket, and they
didn't care.
Well, either she didn't know I had the cigar, or like I didn't put it in my pocket. I had it in my hand, and so I go in, and we sit in our seats, and I'm enjoying the cigar pregame, a whole bit. All of a sudden, I get a citation. An usher writes me a citation.
You got like a ticket?
Yes.
With a fine?
Yes.
How much?
I get it. I don't even remember. I don't think I paid it, so I probably a scofflaw.
You probably still owe it.
Down at that stadium, and she gave me it was the citation for having for smoking in a. I didn't know. I got to be honest with you. I thought in Miami, since they didn't flag me going in, that's something you could do in the stadium.
Yeah. See, I've been there too, but I was there for Super Bowl 54 when the Chiefs won their first one against the Niners. The security getting into a Super Bowl is a lot different probably than the normal security for a normal game. It's wild.
Yeah, it's different. And I remember that day, I took a picture of it, in fact, and I posted it. 2 Eagle fans were walking in the concourse. I said, hold on a second, I got to take a picture. And the one guy was wearing a Stuart Bradley jersey.
I remember Stuart Bradley.
But this was long. Stuart Bradley had been going for like.
Wait, what do you wear? Number 55?
It was 55.
Yeah, 55.
Stuart Bradley. I took a picture of it with me like going.
Yeah.
He didn't know. I go, can I take a picture of you? And I was mocking him behind him. He didn't know I was mocking him. Oh man,
Stuart Bradley.
Stuart Bradley. Let's get back to the text board.
Yeah, we got people checking in. One texter checking in on both the McKee conversation and the Vikings. One, McKee is Kevin Kolb. He stinks. And then the second, the Vikings are soft. Darnold play like the old Sam. They will lose to the Rams. So right lockstep pretty much with everything you've got going on.
I like that Rams play.
Yeah. I don't like the saying that McKee is Kevin Kolb, though, already. We've only seen him one game. You saw him in one game, and the kid performed well. And look, I know players.
What, do you think Kevin Kolb didn't perform well?
Well, he didn't play well once he got to Arizona. He had concussion issues, though, didn't he?
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is that anybody can make a splash.
True. Now, I don't know if these are teammates just being nice, but you heard on the broadcast yesterday, I think it was on the broadcast, where they were talking about how the defense for the Eagles has said part of the reason they've had such success this year is because they go up against Tanner McKee every day in practice. That he runs the scout team, and he does a really good job of running that. Like, if you take them at their word, Mike's not buying it.
No, that was probably the last thing Mike was going to buy into.
Yeah,
you saying that on the broadcast the defense gave him praise.
I'm trying to get Mike, before the end of the show, to just say, Tanner did a good job yesterday. And he still hasn't given the praise. I can look at the
numbers, and I can say, well, they won the game, and his numbers look okay. But what does it mean? I always look at what it means. It means nothing to me because I have seen so many temporary performances that people get wowed by, and I always put them in perspective. I go, A, that's against the Giants and their second team or third team defenders. B, yeah, anybody could play well for one game, but that doesn't mean that they're a viable player in the league. That's all I look at.
They didn't have all their backups in. I mean, they still had Thibodeau out there. They had Brian Burns out there.
Most of the backups.
You know what I thought was most impressive? And I don't know if this says more about the Eagles' depth or how bad the Giants are, is that all your backup defensive players for the Eagles held the Giants to 13 points and only 238 yards. Literally, you had Jeremiah Trotter, a rookie starting at linebacker, Aaron Burks. You had all your backup secondary in there, all your backup linemen with the exception of Jordan Davis, which I still don't understand why he was playing. And you hold that team to only 13 points. But then John Mara wakes up today and decides, you know what? I'm going to keep this general manager because he's doing such a good job. He made the decision that we're going to build around Daniel. This is Daniel's year, and we saw it unfold on Hard Knocks. This is Daniel's year. Daniel hasn't been on the damn team in weeks. You build a defense that can't even stop a third-string quarterback. You build an offense that can't put up points against backups on the Eagles, and we're going to keep Joe Shane.
Coming up next on The Fan, Bill Colarulo.
Yeah. That's the last time I'll talk about Joe Shane until next year.
ESPN New York presents the Bill Colarulo Show.
Your obsessions just flabbergasted.
I just
certain things.
Because it just blows my mind.
Right, before we get out of here, I got to play the post game of Dan Campbell. Just so we send Bill off on a good note today. You know?
Hey, listen, you guys better be nice to me because there's no guarantee when my wife could go into labor at any day.
Oh, that's right. Let's explain to the people. Your wife is any day ready to deliver.
Yes, we are on baby
a child, a little girl, right?
Yeah, we got a little girl coming. Now, her due date isn't until the 15th, but it's at the point now where the doctor's saying, look, any day. It could be tomorrow. It could be in 2 weeks. We just don't know.
So you could be called out of service here. So I really should be nice to you.
You should.
Yeah.
You should, and as should the YouTube audience and all of our
We wish you,
texters.
of course, you and your family and Bridget all the best.
Yeah, she's been a rock star. So hopefully everything will go smoothly. I'm number one, praying for a healthy labor, delivery, and all that. Number two, praying for a Tuesday night baby. Nice Tuesday night. So we come in, we react to whatever happened on Sunday. I'm back here before the end of the week, getting ready for the next playoff game. We're hoping for a nice Tuesday delivery.
This Friday afternoon.
All right, there you go. There's my picture.
You found it?
Yeah, I found this picture. I don't know if people can see it right there, but it's me. Like, I go, dude, you got it. And I'm looking at it like, I have this quizzical look on my face that this guy would wear a Stuart Bradley jersey, and the other guy has a Jerome Brown jersey on. But this guy was Stuart Bradley. I go, dude, seriously? December 9th, 2012. That's when this picture was taken.
Yeah, Okay, wait, when was Stuart Bradley's last year?
I don't know, but he was gone by then.
Dude, his last year was 09.
All right, he was gone for 3 years. This guy's still wearing this Stuart Bradley jersey. You got to have some pride. You know what I'm saying, Ray?
The number of people that I saw in Tampa Bay, and I get it, Super Bowl, all those things, but Devin White jerseys.
Really?
I saw
Eagles jerseys?
No,
Tampa Bay jerseys.
But it was insane to me. The legacy he had for me versus the legacy he carries down there. I saw more Devin White jerseys than pretty much everything but Tom Brady. I saw more than Mike Evans.
A lot of Brady jerseys, huh?
Were there any Rod Brindamore jerseys?
No.
That's the number one. It's a number one Flyer retread jersey.
Brindamore? Yeah, you made
Flyer fans are famous for their jerseys, for old jerseys. They don't want to buy a new one. They just,
So the best Eagles jersey we saw yesterday, we did our pregame show from Xfinity Live.
Uh-huh.
Somebody had an Eagles jersey. The name on the back was Roseman, and instead of a number, it was a big $sign.
Yeah, why would anybody do that?
I don't know. So you had to actually go and get that
Who
made.
manufactured that?
You had to get it made.
What is the mentality of that? All right, it's time for closing arguments.
Now, closing arguments on the Mike Missanelli Show. Brought to you by Lowenthal and Abrams Injury Attorneys. Injured in an accident, call 800-876-LAWYER or visit LowenthalAbrams.com.
All right, my closing argument is very simple. The Eagles, I think, are in a very good position to win at least a couple games. 2 home games coming to you in the playoffs. They got the Green Bay Packers, whose quarterback's a little banged up. I feel very secure in saying that the Eagles will advance to the second game, and I can't see them losing the second game either. So all roads lead to an NFC title game like we've been talking about all year. In Detroit, indoors against a team that is pretty good and made a big statement to get that number 1 seed. The Eagles, I think, are just a tad below Detroit right now, but that doesn't mean they can't beat them and get to the Super Bowl. The one thing I will say definitively, if Jalen Hurts gets hurt, Tanner McKee ain't winning no game. Sorry, Bill.
Yeah, I was going to make my closing argument that this is Tanner McKee's day. Like Andy Reid said on Stacey Andrews' day when Brian Dawkins signed with Denver. I'm giving Tanner McKee his flowers. He's not better than Jalen Hurts. Stop. But he had a very good game in his first NFL start. Congratulations to Tanner McKee. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles for a great regular season. But now we turn our focus to what matters most.
Yes, we do. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Give me a little Dan Campbell on the way out. Can we have it, Ray? Can we do it? Wow. There we go. Yes.
You guys look like you remember who the you are.
Yes!
Yeah, that was awesome. That's a hell of a win, guys.
Hell of a win!
All right, let's get out of here.
All right, stay tuned. We'll be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.